What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. Now, with this video, we are jumping into Devil's Reign. This is a brand new 6-part miniseries. A brand new Marvel event hitting New York City, and this will be following in the aftermath of the Daredevil comics. Now, if you haven't been keeping up with that, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It's going to get you completely caught up on everything that has been happening with Daredevil up to this point. There is one issue that we have not covered yet, is the issue number 36 that came out last week. We will be getting to that, but really, a lot of that information is going to be covered in this comic. And so with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this new Marvel event, we are picking up in the Mediterranean Sea 2 weeks ago, and we have Mr. and Mrs. Stromwyn. Two individuals that you could consider the elites. The individuals who pick the figureheads that are in control. And right now, out on their yacht, they are currently discussing if they want to keep Mayor Fisk in power. Now, one of the reasons that they put Mayor Fisk in charge, the reason that they allowed him to run and be mayor, is because they really wanted to see what he was going to do. More or less, this is a game to them just to see what will happen. What will happen when you put a gangster, one like Fisk, into power? But they have to ask themselves, is there a more interesting play that could be had? With the election soon coming up, there is a very good chance that he might have someone running opposed to him. Now that's what's going to take us to New York City 1 week ago. And so this is shortly after Mayor Fisk had just gotten married to Mary. And in issue 36 of Daredevil, we really see Daredevil go up to Mayor Fisk and tell him that he's happy for him. He's happy that he found some kind of happiness. And while Daredevil, he's not 100% sure that this is going to be real, that Mayor Fisk is going to be on the straight and narrow, he has a feeling that something deeper is going to happen. But he told Mayor Fisk that if anything, he has never tried letting go of the anger against Fisk. They have always been in each other's throats, and he would like to try just for once to just leave each other alone and let them live happy lives. The only thing about that is Mayor Fisk cannot let this go because he has a folder. He's got tons of information hidden away at a cabin. One of those folders, it was supposed to hold the identity to who Daredevil is. The only issue with that, every page drew up blank. There was no information, and Mayor Fisk has no memory of who he is. And this drives Mayor Fisk absolutely insane. Having this file, he knows that at one point in time, he must have had this information. Believing that Daredevil did something to his mind, somehow made him forget. This, in a way, reignites all of his anger towards Daredevil. Hell-bent on trying to figure out who he is. What comes next is going to be his first chess move. And that's what picks us up with present day. And we have Wilson Fisk giving a speech to all of the people, with news cameras, news outlets from all around. Everyone is listening to his new declaration. And what Mayor Fisk is doing in New York City is he is laying down some new laws, telling the people that superheroes have not been held accountable, that whenever superheroes get into a fight, there is always destruction, that it is because of the superheroes that we constantly are having attacks. And so he wants to put into effect the Powers Act. And so to those that all have abilities, he lets them know, effective immediately, any individual who exhibits a use of powers deemed superhuman or commits acts of destruction or vigilantism, they are going to be charged as a threat. And what we are seeing is Civil War 2.0, at least for the city of New York City. What this really is a declaration of war against any mass vigilante superhero that is living in New York City. And the news outlets, they go crazy. The Powers Act is all over media, with Tony Stark coming out and saying that Fisk is nothing more than a gangster, that they have been down this road before, with superheroes serving a purpose and saving New Yorkers and the Earth time and time again. This is a desperate ploy, and it's all because he is in an election year. But to go along with this Powers Act, he has created what he calls the Thunderbolt units. And what it looks like is we are getting a return of the Thunderbolts. Now this team is made up of both villains and regular human beings. A team designed specifically to hunt down superhumans and vigilantes alike. This news is so public that even Storm chimes in, letting them know that Krakoa and all mutants, they have amnesty. They have diplomatic immunity. And so if Mayor Fisk wants to mess with any of the mutants, it is going to come with huge and significant consequences. But we have our first wave of arrests starting to begin. And that starts with them trying to capture Moon Knight, with him patrolling his neighborhood, keeping his community safe from what lurks in the dark. We see US agents and the Thunderbolts come descending down on him. And Moon Knight always loves a freaking challenge. And so while he battles it out, we have Spider-Man who is going in and rescuing some people from a burning building. In doing this, when he comes out, we have the Thunderbolt unit coming on top of them, letting them know that they are under arrest because they have demonstrated power. And this is where Captain America steps in, lets them know you're not doing that. And if you decide you want to do that, you're gonna have to go through me. And so we are seeing the Civil War 2.0 really starting to set in. With Captain America going down this road before, he is not playing this game again and he starts cracking some skulls. But our young fill-in Spider-Man and Captain America, they are not alone in this, because this is where we see our other Spider-Man, as well as Daredevil and Elektra come in and start kicking some butt. Now recognizing that the entire city is collapsing on top of them, they have to get out of here, they have to get to a hiding place, regroup, and figure out what their next course of action is. And so that leads them down into the sewers. And as they get down here, Daredevil, he really does feel responsible for everything that is happening right now, because he got the Purple Man, Kilgrave's children, to alter the memories, mess with the mind of Wilson Fisk. And in doing this, it has started to drive him crazy that he does not know the identity of Daredevil. That once he knows that at some point he had that identity, he knows that Daredevil did something, he just can't prove any of this yet. But Captain America lets him know that with Fisk in office, we all knew that this was a possibility. He is nothing more than a gangster. The previous Kingpin, it was inevitable for something to happen. This is his vendetta. And Captain America, not wanting to speak for everyone in the room, he is not going to stand idly by. He is not going to let a tyrant stop him from saving lives, telling Daredevil that if he were to turn himself into Fisk, it would not end any of this that is happening now. Now that is where we pick up with Sue Storm and Reed Richards. Our members of the Fantastic Four are now being greeted by Thunderbolts and NYPD, with federal agents as well. Now, Reed Richards, he tries to tell them that they have paperwork working with Homeland Security to do any of the operations and experiments that they are doing inside of this building. But before they can do anything, we see Doc Ock and his legs, his tentacles, throw on some power dampening on these two, because he is now one of the Thunderbolts. And what we are seeing is Wilson Fisk taking pretty much all of the villains of Spider-Man and throwing some lightning bolts on their chest and making them sheriffs. And so while they try to subdue these two, Sue Storm is able to get to the panel, able to warn Johnny and the Thing. With them hearing the code, they know exactly what to do. With Thunderbolt agents breaking down the door, they immediately start opening fire, almost hitting the kids. Now, of course, Ben is not okay with this. He does a little bit of clobbering, he grabs the two children, and he jumps out the window. And the four of them, they are able to make their escape, with Sue and Richard now in confinement. That is where we pick up with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. As they watch everything transpire, they're kind of relieved because they don't keep their secret identities. They let everyone know who they are, and they are hoping because of this, it's gonna give them a little bit of leeway in what's going on. Now, as they watch on social media, As all of this stuff is unfolding, as people are getting arrested, we see a vehicle accident. Luke Cage jumps into action, saving as many people as he can. This is where we see Shocker, now working as a Thunderbolt. He throws some dampeners to Luke Cage and tells him that he needs to put them on. Now, of course, Luke Cage, he crushes them in his hands and tells him that that is not going to happen. While they may have given him a badge, he is still nothing more than a thug. And so we see the fight break out. Jessica Jones taking on the agents of Thunderbolts, and Luke Cage going against Shocker, taking his gloves and smashing them in his hands. And as the two of them beat the crap out of all of these guys, we have regular civilians that are recording every aspect of this fight. And being under recording, Luke Cage cannot help himself but let the people know that they meant no violence, that this is unlawful. What they are doing is absolutely wrong. Everyone is being played by Mayor Fisk. That this isn't simply about superheroes, this is all about control. And Luke Cage, he lets everyone know that if he sees a New Yorker in trouble, he is going to do the right thing and he is going to help them. And if Mayor Fisk wants to try and stop him, he knows where to find him. Now, picking up with Mayor Fisk and our brand new Kingpin, Butch, the son of Mayor Fisk. Now, in issue number 36 of Daredevil, we see how Butch becomes the new Kingpin. More or less, he takes out the competition. Something he said that he probably was never gonna do, but at the end of the day, he felt like he had no other option but to take her off the table. And so now he is in command, and Mayor Fisk has come to let him know that this new act, this powers act that he is putting into place, he's doing it to help Butch out, saying that to run as Kingpin, to do this operation without superheroes is going to be hugely beneficial for him. It is going to make his life tremendously easier. Now, of course, Butch does not give a crap. Tells him that it's not for him. He knows that his intentions, whatever they are ill. With him being extremely angry towards him, telling him to get out of his office, Fisk lets him know that one day, eventually, he is going to realize that this was all for his benefit. And that's where we see Mike come out of the closet. The guy who has been more or less filling in for Matt Murdock this entire time. While Matt Murdock has been in prison, with him just recently getting out, we see a little bit of a meetup between the two of them in issue 36. Because of the company he is keeping, because he has been so close to Butch this entire time. And he really just lets Butch know that at the end of the day, what Fisk did might actually be beneficial moving forward. While he knows he's not happy with Fisk and so on and so forth, you have to admire the effort that he put in doing this Powers Act and all of the people that it is going to anger in the end. Worst case scenario, they might just come for Fisk. More than anything, they just want to make sure that Fisk wins this election, because this guy, he hungers for power, and if he loses that election, he might come to be Kingpin again. Now, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, after everything that Luke Cage said, Jessica is freaking out. They are packing everything. They are getting ready to get out of the city, assuming that Mayor Fisk is going to be sending these Thunderbolt units after him. Jessica can't believe how stupid Luke Cage was to do that, to taunt them. And so they pack their bags very quickly. They go to try and get out of here, only to be met by Tony Stark. And Tony lets them know that they have to stop Fisk. Now, they can't simply go kick down the door and try to arrest him to try to do the superhero thing. They have to do this through the political avenues. And so Tony Stark, he lets them know that he is going to take down Mayor Fisk by running for office. Tony Stark is running for mayor of New York City. Now, with them having access to the Fantastic Four lab, this is where they bring in the Purple Man. Now, the Purple Man, he taunts him, telling Fisk, "Let me out of this cage. I should have known that you had something to do with all of this." Trying to figure out what his intention is. More than anything, the Purple Man, he just wants to rip Fisk's head clean the freak off. But he really wants the Purple Man to work with him, because his biggest strength has always been all of the secrets that he has kept. And all of those secrets, he is now using that because he is in the end game. But the funny thing about his file is that there is nothing to use against him. His children want him dead. He has no one that loves him. He has absolutely nothing. And we see the door opened up and he lets him out. Letting him out, we see Fisk grab him by the neck holding a knife. Now the Purple Man, he did everything he can to try to get Fisk to kill himself. He was unable to do this. The power's not working on Fisk, with Fisk telling him that his gift has been squandered and that perhaps someone else may be worthy enough to possess that gift to make a better world. And we see Fisk's face splattered with the blood of the Purple Man. And simultaneously, we are seeing that Fisk is running for President of the United States. Because this is the endgame for Fisk. He wants absolute power over America. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 2, we are picking up with Danny Rand, aka no longer the Iron Fist. He is now just Rand, Danny Rand of Rand Corporation. And right now he is on the phone with Luke and Jessica. They of course are concerned about his well-being, with them going around and rounding up superheroes, especially when they already have the identity of them. Now Danny, he's not really too concerned about this because he's no longer the Iron Fist, believing he doesn't have anything to worry about. That is when his door gets kicked down and one of the Thunderbolt units is right there. And this Thunderbolt unit is led by Crossbones. Now Danny may no longer be the Iron Fist, but it doesn't mean he doesn't know how to fight. And so with him trying to fight his way out of this, that is where we pick up with Wilson Fisk and Elektra, with her currently still dressing up as Daredevil, trying to follow the path of Matthew, being the only individual to know his true identity. She has come here to ask Wilson Fisk, what the F are you doing? Because he knows at the end of the day that none of this will stand. This being a very desperate play, and the people that he is going against, these guys have the power of gods, with the mayor knowing that if they decide to have an all-out attack against Fisk, that it is only going to look poorly against them, and the people will side with him. And that is what he is hoping for. He is hoping that he can get the people on his side, show that the superheroes, the vigilantism, that is the problem with New York. If he can get the populace to turn against the heroes, he wins. Now Elektra really wants to do what she is best at, and that is assassination, but trying to go down this new path, trying not to kill and live by the code of Matthew. She is not willing to break that code. The thing about Fisk is he has been keeping dossiers on everyone. He even has it on Elektra. He knows her true identity, and though he doesn't really have much use for this information, he knows individuals who do, telling her that the Hand wants a meetup. Now, of course, Elektra absolutely freaking out, worried that the Daredevil might figure out what she did, how she betrayed Matthew. If he finds out about this, she will lose everything. And so she makes her escape. With Typhoid Mary and Thunderbolts right on her tail, she jumps out the window and is able to get away, taking us to Avengers Mansion. This place has mostly been a museum, but there is a secret location underneath that has been unused for quite some time. And so for the time being, this is where our heroes are going to take the opportunity to hide out. And as they approach the mansion, they see a couple of kids, and these kids start recording, because we're talking about Luke Cage, Tony Stark, Captain America, they don't really see, but it's Daredevil. Just a ton of our heroes are sitting right here in front of them, so they start recording. Tony Stark trying to offer them money, Luke Cage letting them know that if you see us hiding out, you guys should be concerned, because if the heroes are hiding, there's probably some stuff going down, and if we ask you not to record us, to delete those videos, do us a solid and just delete them. What we really learn is how charismatic Luke Cage can be, and we learned that in the last issue as well, as he tried to talk to all of the people to let them know that they are not your enemies. And Luke Cage charisma is going to end up playing a big part in this story. But moving forward and heading to Ben, aka our current Spider-Man, doing everything he can to try to fill the shoes of Peter Parker, he doubts himself every step of the way. The way he doubts himself truly reminds me of Wally West before he moved past his wanting to beat Barry Allen, of not wanting to surpass his mentor. That's really what this reminds me of, with Ben constantly being fed with that self-doubt, believing that he might not actually be able to compare himself ever to Peter Parker. But while Peter is out of commission, Ben is going to do everything he can to ensure that Spider-Man and those that look up to him are out on these streets protecting people. With Spider-Man being called out, he has no choice but to go and answer. Being led back to the Daily Bugle, with him breaking in through the window, we meet up with Whiplash and Taskmaster, and the two of them, now part of the Thunderbolts. They have been tasked with finding out the identity of Spider-Man. Wilson Fisk not having a complete dossier on him, trying to triangulate where he might be, believing that he works for the Daily Bugle. Having all of these people as hostages, they plan to complete the file on Spider-Man. And with this fight breaking out, we pick up at our prison for the superpowered criminals, picking up with Reed Richards and Sue Storm. These two being immediately arrested, and like we could expect, with two superheroes that have been thrown into jail having power dampeners on them, of course people are gonna come and they're gonna try to pick a fight, breaking up the conversation between both Reed and Sue. One of them has a shake and goes to stab Reed, only to get slammed across the face by Sue Storm. The dynamic duo beats the crap out of these guys, and then the guards come storming in, knowing that they are going to be going to solitary, telling each other to stay alive. As they kiss one another being pulled apart, we pick up at City Hall sub-basement, and what we have is the Purple Man, locked inside of this diamond. It was only rumored that Doom was able to use him for some kind of control using Killgrave. The device we see before us, it will only be able to coerce people into what they want. So this isn't technically mind control. Think of it as more of subliminal advertising, if you will. Wilson Fisk going to use this power on Doc Ock himself. Doc Ock obviously being way too smart for that. He already put stuff inside of his mind control blockers that stop him from having any persuasion over him. With his part of this plan being over, Doc Ock goes back to the Fantastic Four lab, leaving the mayor here. He doesn't need mind control. This coercion is more than enough. It is more than sufficient to do what needs to be done, with people being very easily controlled, very easily manipulated. This device is no different than spending crazy amounts of money on a campaign. But this is his weapon. This is how he wins this election, believing that the people will come out in numbers to vote for him and the protection of their Thunderbolts. And while the vigilantes are kept busy chasing after their tumbling secrets, he believes that they will all fail. They will all fall into this decades-long trap that he has been building up. And if they do not fall into it, they will scurry underground and they will go into hiding. And that's exactly what we have going on right now. With them going to the Avengers Mansion, getting into the sub-basement, they all decide it is time to have a talk with Tony Stark. Because as we learned in the last issue, he wants to be the one to run against Fisk. Tony Stark wants to be mayor of New York City. And while they all agree with this plan, they all agree that it should not be Tony Stark. Because it's all a matter of optics. You have one rich dude going against another rich dude. What they want to do is truly get their point across. And while Tony Stark, he may be a hero, they are concerned he may not come out on top. With Luke Cage believing that he should run. And all of the others, they agree with this, even Captain America, believing that Luke is the right pick. His speech the other day, it inspired people. And to win an election, they need inspiration, with Luke being one of the only individuals to not wear a mask. With the world knowing their identity, they need to earn the people's trust, with all of them letting them know this isn't anything against Tony Stark. It has nothing to do with egos. This is simply about beating Mayor Fisk. Now, Tony Stark, he seems pretty cool about this, letting them know that he will have all of the funding he needs. They will ensure that this campaign is going to be a success. But as everyone walks out of the room, we see that Tony Stark, it appears that he is very cynical, very shady, very sneaky, saying that they are all in this together. But the undertone showing us that there is something more to this. And that's what takes us to Ben, aka Spider-Man, going against Taskmaster and Whiplash. And to be honest, Spider-Man is getting his butt whooped. Going against Taskmaster, arguably one of the best hand-to-hand fighters in the world. In this small enclosed room, Spider-Man stands no chance. Realizing that he can't take both of them on, he goes for the weaker one. He goes for Whiplash. Using his ego against him, he makes Whiplash charge at him. And in doing this, in his anger, Spider-Man gets the upper hand, going in and giving a devastating punch. But Taskmaster was able to get on top of him. Whiplash may be down, but Taskmaster got the upper hand, and quickly getting over to Spider-Man and dropping a collar on his neck. This dampens his powers, grabbing Spider-Man and throwing him out a window as he goes falling down, trying everything he can to stop himself, realizing his powers are gone, using his webbing. As soon as that jolt hits him, as soon as he is able to catch himself, it's more than likely going to dislocate something. But being able to break his fall, he lands crashing down on a car, with the Thunderbolt unit directly on top of him. It looks like Spider-Man is about to be arrested. Meanwhile, elsewhere, we have Doc Ock, being impervious to this persuasion, now being free from Fisk. He is working in the Fantastic Four lab. And while Fisk, he pines over this power of being mayor, Octavius knows that the true power, it lies in Reed Richards' lab, with all of his wild inventions, one of them being an interdimensional portal. And so while Fisk fights over power of a city, Octavius, he has much bigger plans. And we see Octavius is forming his own interdimensional team. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with Elektra, and she has come to confront Mayor Fisk. Because Elektra, of all people, she knows what needs to be done. Mayor Fisk needs to die. And if no one else is willing to do this, she will carry this burden. The only issue is, when she arrived, Mayor Fisk, he had all of his files out. The files he uses to control everyone around him, having every single dirty little secret on everybody. And we see Elektra, she second guesses herself. This whole time that we have seen Matthew Murdock locked up in prison, she has been holding the mantle of Daredevil, and she promised him that she would live by his code. And this is what causes her hesitation. This is why she isn't just taking her weapons and driving them through the head of Wilson Fisk right now. And because of this hesitation, we see Kingpin let her know that he has taken her file and given it to someone who would be very interested in finding out more about her or using that against her. And so now that this information is out in the world, she has to worry about Matthew Murdock finding out what it is, finding out her deep dark secret she has been keeping from him, because she has fallen in love with him. Though this was never her intention, never something that she really wanted, it has happened nonetheless. And she is petrified, absolutely terrified that he is going to find out the truth and never look at her the same again. And so for one more night, without Matthew knowing any of the truth, we see them enjoy each other's company. And though she feels guilty as she talks to him, he continues to reassure her that them together, they can take down Kingpin without resorting to murdering him. And this is one of the reasons that she loves him so much. It is one of the reasons that she keeps coming back. And so while they enjoy this night, we are taken into the past. And we see Elektra. She is currently training with Stick, being only 12 years old when she started all of her training. And though she may have been only a child, this didn't matter to Stick in the slightest bit, because all that mattered to Stick was his war. And to Stick, you were either a success or you were a failure. There was no in between. He gave no quarter. And what happens with her training after Stick, that is what she has been trying to hide from everybody. But picking up the next day after she spent her time with Matthew Murdock, we are brought to Columbia University. This is where she met Matthew. This is where she fell in love with him. And this is where she betrayed him. Not knowing who has this file on her, this is the location she was told to come to. Having no idea what is actually inside the file, not knowing who even has this file, she's really just walking around hoping someone grabs her attention. And that's when she runs into Goldie, an old classmate of theirs. Now the assistant DA, they go out and they have some coffee. With Elektra not seeing the individual or being approached by the individual she was supposed to meet, she agrees to sit down, have some coffee, and catch up with an old friend. And with the two of them sitting down, they talk about everything. About life, about Matthew, about which directions they have gone, remorses, regrets, happiness. They talk about all of this. And while she enjoys this nostalgia, she looks out the window to see somebody that is very familiar to her. With Elektra telling Goldie that she has to go, she heads out, goes down an alleyway, and she throws on the Daredevil suit. Not sure what this individual wants, not sure why they would even have the file if this person happens to be that individual, but she is determined to find out what is going on. Now that is what takes us to the past, back to when she was 17 years old. Back then she was looking for something desperately to smash. She was looking for some kind of direction to be pointed in, to take that anger and give it direction. And in the midst of her training, this is where she runs into Akka. With this interruption, we see a fight break out between the two of them. If you could really call this a fight, because Elektra, she is put down by a simple pressure point. Completely unsure of how this happened, Akka lets her know this Stick has failed you. With her seeing the unending potential that is inside Elektra, she wants to help her reach that. And the way she wants to help her reach her true potential is through the hand. This is what she has been trying to hide for so long. With Akka being able to get inside the head of Elektra, she became an assassin. Akka had pretended to care about her, and this helped her with this sense of purpose. This helped her stay with the hand, to fight for them and do their bidding. But the truth is, this all ruined her life. And so Elektra goes and chases her down. If this information can get to Matthew, he will know everything. And this is something that she doesn't want happening. And so chasing her down, we are led into the countryside with a snow-covered cliff. Elektra, she approaches Akka, not sure what the game is, not sure why she was drugged all the way out here. Before Elektra can say anything else, we see the girl jump from the ledge. And at this point, she doesn't know what is going on, having no idea what game she is at. Whatever it is, she is ahead of Elektra and she is winning. For so long, the hand had used her as a weapon, as a tool to do their bidding. Remembering when she first was given a sigh and told to kill someone, hesitating just for a moment until she drives that sigh into his chest. Because the truth of the matter is she wanted to do this. That bloodlust had taken over, and she realized the hand had opened up the darkness that was lying underneath the surface. And when the time came, they were ready to send her out into the world on her next mission. That mission was Matthew Murdock. To show the potential new recruit something beautiful. The beauty in giving into the hand. To soften him up so that he would join the hand. She was never meant to have a relationship. Never meant to fall in love with him. But with her done being out in this wilderness, ready to get back to the city and help Matthew with whatever he needs, trying to leave the past exactly where it is, knowing that she will run into her again and more than likely have to deal with the Hand at another time. And so, with her hopping into her car and headed down to old Avengers Mansion, this is when a deer jumps out into the road, causing her to swerve and crash off to the side. But as she climbs out of the wreckage, she recognizes that there is a dart in her tire. And so she knows somebody is trying to keep her here and stop her from leaving. And so if that is the case, she is ready to fight, to wage war on anyone that stands in her way. And so, throwing on her mask, she heads out into the woods. She begins the hunt for whoever is looking for her. With somebody trying to get the jump on her, she is able to jump out of the way, trying to figure out who this is. He introduces himself, because this is Kraven. Kraven the Hunter. Alright gang, so diving into issue number 2, we have the confrontation between Elektra and the Hunter. Now Elektra, she has to ask the question, why are you doing this? And for Kraven, it is simple as needing a challenge, of wanting a challenge. And Elektra is known as the world's deadliest assassin. She has an ocean of blood on her hands. And so Kraven, he is using the file as blackmail to get her to fight him, to see who is the better. Kraven seeking some kind of challenge. Why not go after the world's deadliest assassin? Now Elektra, she's not dumb enough to believe that Kraven is behind this himself, believing that Akka, the one from the Hand, she is responsible for leading Kraven down this path. But nonetheless, she is now face to face with Kraven, and these two are going at it. And Elektra tries to let him know that he is being played, but honestly he doesn't care. Taking that file from Fisk, it really does benefit the both of them. But really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because he has every intention of killing Elektra right here, right now. And Kraven lets her know that he knows there was no way that she would fight him unless he had something. Something like the file on her saying that she worked for the organization known as the Hand, and that her main objective was to bring Matt Murdock into the fold of the Hand. With her denying this mission and keeping this secret from Matt, this is something that she has been trying to keep secret for a very, very long time. But what everyone did not know is the last night that she had spent with Matt Murdock. She knew this would be used as a weapon against her eventually, and so she told Matt everything. She let Matt know exactly who she had been working for, what her objective was, but also letting him know that she loved him, she fell in love with him, and so she turned all of that away. And as the two continue to battle on, Elektra lets him know that she has no need to continue this fight, because what he, Wilson Fisk, and everyone does not know is that Matt Murdock, he already knows the truth. And with him knowing everything, Elektra has no reason to stay here and fight Kraven. With the police showing up, Kraven believing that maybe she's bluffing, looking into her eyes, he knows the truth. He knows that in fact she is not bluffing, that Daredevil does know everything. And so he lets her get away for now. With Elektra having no incentive to fight him, he lets her know that he will go find something, some more insurance, some more reassurance, to ensure that this fight does happen, to make sure Elektra fights at her very best. That way Kraven can say he defeated the world's greatest assassin. But Elektra makes her way out of here, beating up some cops, possibly even shooting one of them. She steals one of the cop cars and she hightails it out of here, because the last thing Kraven had said made her believe that he is going for Goldie, going to go and take him hostage. That way Elektra will face off with him. And she can't help but feel all of the remorse, all of her regret, everything that she has done that has led to this point. And because Elektra had failed in her mission, Akka came after her. When they were up in the air in an airplane, Akka had killed every single one of the guards, killed the pilot, and opened up the door, letting her know that the Hand will always be watching. The Hand will always be there, waiting to take you out. And she knows now more than ever that her and Matthew, they need to take down the Hand once and for all. But before they do that, they have to find Goldie, with Kraven the Hunter already capturing him and bringing him in as bait. And with her beating the crap out of some of these Thunderbolt guards, she makes quick work of these guys and she makes her escape. And with Kraven the Hunter having Goldie hostage, with Akka watching from the rooftop, Kraven is ready to finish this fight. And as the two of them are about to face off, being in New York City, Elektra tells Kraven you probably picked the worst battleground because any hero, any masked individual, they are the biggest threat in this city and draw the biggest amount of attention. But on the contrary, Kraven the Hunter has never felt safer, and that is because Wilson Fisk, the mayor of New York City, he has deputized Kraven, with Kraven grabbing his Thunderbolt badge and putting it onto his chest. Kraven the Hunter is now the law. And this is where we see round 2 of this fight get underway. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with 8-Ball. And 8-Ball, he's trying to figure out why he never got picked for the Thunderbolts. With Wilson Fisk out here picking all of these individuals, 8-Ball says that he's taken on the likes of Spider-Man, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Sleepwalker. He's gone toe-to-toe with all of them. And while he would love to be on the Thunderbolts team, being in here might be a little bit of a vacation for him. Keep him out of trouble while all of the chaos is breaking out on the streets. Asking his new cellmate who he is and what brought him here. He says that it has to do with the mask laws. Asking what his name was out on the street, he lets him know that his name was Moon Knight. Picking up a little bit later, everyone in the cafeteria, we see that 8-Ball, he's more or less shunned by everybody. None of the villains want really to sit with him or anything to do with him. They all brush him off. They all make him go sit by himself. 8-Ball more or less is being the joke around here, with Captain Confusion coming up to him and trying to start some beef, trying to take his food and bully him around. From behind him, this is where we see Moon Knight grabbing his hand and letting him know that he better leave his cellmate alone. Captain Confusion asking who he is supposed to be. Moon Knight lets him know he is the one that put that moon scar on his forehead. As soon as he hears this, he goes running in the opposite direction, with Moon Knight sitting down with 8-Ball. 8-Ball has to ask, why aren't you sitting with all of the other superhero types that have found themselves locked up in here? Letting him know that they might have all got pinched for the same reason when the Thunderbolts came in and they swept everybody up. But he is no more welcome with them than 8-Ball would be with all of the villains. The truth is, he is the outcast. Moon Knight really only has one question for 8-Ball, asking him, where is Man Mountain Marco? And Marco, he gets special privileges. The guards let him eat alone and with real food, not this cafeteria prison food that everyone else gets. Because Marco is the king in the cage, with the guards having their own little brawls, their own UFC fights, their own Thunderdome inside the prison. Marco is the king, currently the reigning champ. He doesn't have to mix with the population. He gets his own isolation and solitude. With Moon Knight learning this information, he gets up, he walks over to Captain Confusion, grabbing his head and smashing it into the table, trying to stir up some trouble, telling him that they should meet up sometime. A bunch of first-class losers, and that is all they will ever be. Taking us a little bit later, 8-Ball has to ask the question, what the heck were you thinking? Why did you start all of that beef? Moon Knight says he's just trying to make friends, with one of the guards coming up, grabbing him, and bringing him into the showers. And as soon as he makes his arrival, this is where Captain Confusion and his crew, they are waiting for him. In a matter of moments, we see Moon Knight come out of the showers covered in blood, and every single one of those goons, they have been taken down. The guard, in complete disbelief, Moon Knight asks him one question: where is the real fighting? I hear that you guys have a fighting match going on, and I would like to throw throw my hat into the ring. Moon Knight wants a shot at the title, and that's what takes us to our first bout. Moon Knight vs. Boomslang. His only request for doing these fights is that he wants a mask. Giving him his face, he puts on the mask and he brutally beats the crap of every single one of these competitors. From Mr. Fish to Killer Shriek and Cactus, Massacre, he is making his way up the title. He is finding his way to the man mount known as Marco. And Marco comes to taunt him, tries to let him know that he is no match for him. That if he is coming for his title, if he wants to be the reigning champ, then he is gonna have to come with whatever he has. Whatever is much bigger and better than what you have been bringing currently. And of course, Moon Knight, he is not intimidated in the slightest. He's not worried about Marco, but this is the match. Bout 7. This is the title match. This is what it was all for. As he begins to walk into the ring, letting him know the first man to ever kill him was Raoul Bushman, and he was a ruthless war criminal. The real deal, 1,000 of corpses to his name. And in comparison to Marco, Marco is nothing more than a 2-bit street corner thug. With the fight getting underway, Marco goes to throw the first punch, and Moon Knight countering him every step of the way. He is making the man mountain bleed, because this is not where Moon Knight dies. In this arena, in this cage, this is where he lives. This is where he works. This is a holy place dedicated to violence. Consecrated with blood, this is his temple. With Marco just getting his butt handed to him, he tells Moon Knight that he is freaking insane. This guy is an absolute sociopath. But this is when we cut to the past. With Moon Knight taking a huge hit from Marco, we find out why Moon Knight is actually in prison. A young woman had come to him. A young woman by the name of Judith Court. She used to be married to Marco. Now her ex-husband. They have a child together, with Marco leaving after the child had been born, never seeing her again. Now being 12 years old, her powers have manifested. Her powers exactly like her father's. Because of this, Marco, using his influence, is trying to do whatever he can to take that child from her. With Judith concerned that her life is going to be in danger and that her daughter will be taken after her death, Moon Knight making the promise that they are under his protection. We see Moon Knight in current time. He jumps up, grabs hold of Marco, and he tells him a little secret. The secret being that there is no cop, there is no third-tier supervillain that could imprison him and do anything that he didn't want to do. The truth is, Moon Knight wanted to get arrested. He allowed himself to be arrested so he could come in here and he could find Marco. He came here to teach him a lesson and to also deliver a message. The message is that he will never see his ex-wife or daughter ever again. With Marco making a joke about it, saying that when he does finally catch up with Judith, he is going to ensure that she suffers because of what Moon Knight is doing right now. And in this arena, Moon Knight, he begins to feel like him old self. The old days, the dog days, the wild dog days. Letting Marco know that he was given a choice to remember that, because you're going to regret not listening to what I had to say. Being blood drunk and murder hungry, Moon Knight grabs hold of Marco's face, taking his thumbs and driving them into his eye socket, letting him know that he told him he would never see his ex-wife or daughter again. And he meant that literally. With his hands soaked in blood, the guards, they come rushing in as Marco is screaming in agony, with his eyes being literally plucked out of his face. With Moon Knight charging at the guards, they put him down on the ground and he ends up in solitary. And while he's in solitary, 8-Ball cleaning the floors, having a conversation with him through the door. 8-Ball has to ask the question, you let yourself get pinched. Like, why would you do that? And Moon Knight lets him know that this place, it couldn't hold Captain America, and he's just one guy. And right now, this prison is holding a bunch of heroes, to include Reed Richards. Like, do you really think that this prison can hold them? It is only going to be a matter of time before they make their escape. And so while Moon Knight, he seems pretty confident that they're gonna come and rescue him, 8-Ball has to ask, why are you so confident? Especially after everything that you just did. And plus, you said that they kinda don't like you, so why would they rescue you? Moon Knight letting him know that the truth is they don't like him, and they don't have to like him. When they break out of here, they are going up against Wilson Fisk. They are going to try to take this city back, and for a fight like that, you are going to need a wild dog. Alright gang, so we are picking up in, of course, New York City, and the high society event known as the Met Gala is about to begin. That is, until we see the arrival of the Humanity Liberation Movement. And they have come to rob high society. They have come to take the money of the rich and powerful, with them believing that the world is currently on fire, that there are people starving out there, there are individuals that truly need help, and you guys are walking around in your fancy attire, flaunting your money, flaunting your diamonds, flaunting everything that you have that they don't. And even though superheroes are lying low, we have the Thunderbolts. With them coming on the scene, we have Rhino, we have Whiplash, we have Agony, and we have Electro. With them coming in and crashing the party, there is one more member. That member is Taskmaster. And these are Wilson Fisk's deputized Thunderbolts. This is the team that he has formed to fight any forces that come their way. And of course, he sent the Thunderbolts to this event, with Wilson Fisk more than likely even setting up this whole robbery himself, just so he can get publicity on the Thunderbolts. See them saving the day of the most influential people in this city. With all of the cameras on them, it's a win-win situation for the mayor. And we quickly learn that these guys, they're not messing around. With nothing off limits, we see these bad guys taking out these robbers one by one, brutally murdering them, throwing off buildings. Agony is over there literally melting freaking people's faces, with Rhino stampeding all over some gunmen, with Electro electrifying them. For these supervillains, this matchup is absolutely nothing. And so with the bad guys being dispatched, our new Thunderbolts, they make their way back to HQ. Sitting inside the police station, they just wait. They wait for Mayor Fisk to give them their next marching orders. And by all accounts, Taskmaster is currently leading this organization. He is currently leading the Thunderbolts. But our supervillains, they are getting impatient. With no heroes out there, they want to go do whatever it is they want. And with Wilson Fisk not in the room, we see tempers begin to rise. With Whiplash wanting to leave, Taskmaster goes to stop him, and the fight between the two of them breaks out. With Agony jumping into the fight, taking on Whiplash, we see Electro hop onto Rhino, and Electro, using her powers, causes Rhino to go crazy. And as he starts bashing through walls, as the entire team is all over the place fighting each other, trying to escape, this is where we hear the thunderous voice of Wilson Fisk, letting them know that it is enough. That these guys are meant to clean up the city, not drive it further into the ground. That they're not just the public face of authority, they are representation of Fisk himself. They are the right hand of Fisk. He has been entrusting them with the safety of this city, telling them that he wants to unearth whatever vermins did the attack at the Met Gala, and that when they find them, ensure that there are no cameras on. And once you have ensured that there is no press, to make all of them suffer very slowly, reminding the Thunderbolts that he is the only ally that they have in this city. And if his patience begins to wear thin with them, he will quickly have them removed. And after gaining the location of where this terrorist organization may be held up, we see Rhino bashing his way through a wall. And this is sending a message to any would-be terrorists, any would-be criminals. This city belongs to Wilson Fisk. Nobody is allowed to lift a finger unless he says so. And if they don't want to follow the rules, then you can show them the way out of this city, either across the bridge or in a body bag. believing that the law had gotten soft under Jameson. With this new era, with this new administration, Mayor Fisk vows that he will save this city. And our Thunderbolts, they are cleaning these guys up. Whiplash decapitating people, Elektra literally electrifying people, Rhino running people over, and Agony just melting people. What we are seeing is an absolute massacre. And for the time being, this is the lay of the land. The Thunderbolts are now the law of Wilson Fisk. And with the Thunderbolts and Mayor Fisk all having a meeting, this is where they are met by their newest member. That member being U.S. Agent. Alright gang, so as we dive into the first issue of this tie-in, and it's gonna be 3 issues, but we're picking up in the past, when Mayor Fisk is in jail, and though he may be on the outside, he still has his control, with Elektra currently working for him, with Emma Frost currently being under his thumb. He uses the two of them at a whim, using Elektra to go and hunt down some people, because Elektra, she's the muscle. She's the one that goes in and slits the throats. Now Emma Frost, on the other hand, with her unique abilities, she's the one you send in when you want to convince somebody, when you want to change their mind. And though this is the past, this is going to have huge ramifications for what is going to come. Because if you remember, Wilson Fisk, he has dossiers on everybody, all of their dirty secrets, everything bad they have ever done, which means he has one on Elektra, he has one on Emma Frost. And though he used all of this to his benefit in the past, what he had them do is going to come back to haunt them. But with us heading back to the future, picking up in present day, we are at the treehouse. And at the gate of the treehouse, we have U.S. Agent, with him being one of the Thunderbolts. With the police force out in full, they are letting the mutants know that it is time to move this tree, to close down this gateway, because they are no longer allowed inside of New York City as long as they are being the X-Men, as long as they come in costume. That if they are coming to do vigilantism, if they are coming to try and save people, that they are not wanted here. And as all of this unfolds, Emma Frost immediately heads for the UN, and she goes to talk to Mr. Leland. Now Leland, he was recently resurrected, specifically so that he could be the voice of Mutantkind in the UN. He is the voice for all mutants throughout the world. And though New York City, they are really trying to stir the pot. You know, they're kicking the hive. And usually Emma Frost, with her better judgment, she would just have Cyclops move the treehouse over to New Jersey until all of this is settled. But for Emma Frost, this is really personal, because she doesn't like Mayor Fisk, and any opportunity to just stick it to him, she's gonna take that chance. She will take any opportunity to embarrass Wilson Fisk. And though the UN has no intention of intervening, Emma Frost has some plans up her sleeve. And picking back up at the treehouse, we have U.S. Agent trying to call out the X-Men, telling them that they need to show their face and that their time is up. With him grabbing his shield and throwing it at the gateway, that's where we see his shield fly off because Polaris has made her arrival, and Polaris is just toying with him. And then he tries to deploy all of the agents, all of the police officers that are there with him, but Polaris has ensured that the locks on the doors will not open. So everybody is locked inside their vehicles, and now U.S. Agent, he's calling in some backup. And Wilson Fisk is gonna take this opportunity and wait for the X-Men to attack him. Because if the X-Men attack, it just shows exactly what he has been saying. That we don't need these heroes, that they are violent, they are dangerous, and we need to remove them. And so the X-Men, they need to be very careful in their next steps. They can't go out there just guns blazing. And we see a few of our mutants, they sit around and they discuss what their next option is going to be, thinking maybe we should just abandon the treehouse for the time being and let all of this blow over. Because if we go out there and we try to fight the Thunderbolts, it's going to look poorly on us. The media is going to flip it and turn it and make us look like the bad guys. Mayor Fisk is going to use it as an opportunity to really jolt his platform. Now, they don't really know what they're going to do, and they're going to take it moment by moment, going out and at least facing the music, facing US agents and all of these forces, seeing maybe if they can de-escalate the situation, with Cyclops turning into Captain Krakoa. Now, if you haven't been keeping up with that story, you definitely need to read the X-Men, because he is Captain Krakoa after a reporter found out that he was dead, or he had died. With the possibility of this information getting out and mutant resurrection really showing its face to the world, this is something mutants want to avoid. So he is now Captain Krakoa when he is out on Earth. And so with our mutants coming outside, Polaris is face to face with US agent asking where his shield is, Polaris saying that she's pretty sure she returned it, it just made a detour on the other side of the world. The smirk coming off her face in an instant because she is electrocuted. And this is where we see the Thunderbolts. And honestly, the Thunderbolts, they seem to be more made up of almost exclusively Spider-Man villains. But with them standing there, Polaris, she's ready to go and charge in. But the X-Men stop her. They let her know that we can't do this. We can't have an all-out brawl with all of these cameras, all of these eyes on us. And with US agent telling them it is time for them to leave, this is where we have the arrival of Emma Frost. And she has an official document from the United Nations. The treehouse is now recognized by the UN as a consulate of the sovereign nation of Krakoa, with the X-Men here on a goodwill mission for betterment of all mankind. And she tells US agent, I would throw you out of this place, but the treehouse is open to everybody, and that includes you. This is Emma Frost playing her political game, showing that even with her immense amount of power, her influence, she doesn't even need to do anything out of what an ordinary human would do. That if Wilson Fisk wants to play these little mess around games, if he wants to try to ban mutants from all of New York City, he's got another thing coming. And so not being able to make any kind of move, he withdraws the Thunderbolts. Because as it stands, there are other heroes that are all over the city that need rounding up, and to leave the X-Men to him. Now, as you can imagine, Emma Frost is pretty happy with herself, because getting underneath the skin of Wilson Fisk has literally become one of her hobbies. Any opportunity to take a jab at him, she's gonna do it. And though this was a victory today, as we were saying in the beginning of the issue, Wilson Fisk has a dossier on everybody. And with Elektra working for him, he knows exactly who she has killed when he contracted her to do so. And with Emma Frost being a friend of Elektra, he's going to use this as an opportunity to say, look at Emma Frost's associates. He's going to use it to paint her as a murderer or a murderer accomplice. And so the game is just beginning. Alright gang, so as we dive into this Devil's Reign tie-in, we are picking up with issue number 2, and right now, on the front page of news across New York City, the White Queen is in jeopardy. She is being connected to cold case murders. Right now, sitting down with her attorneys, she is trying to figure out just how bad things are. And right now, things are very, very bad. And right now, it is being believed that Emma Frost, she may be responsible for murdering a child. But Emma Frost, she knows the truth. She knows that she never murdered a child. In fact, she helped that child escape. And though Emma Frost has done many shady things over the years, especially while she was under the thumb of Kingpin, manipulating Tony Stark, manipulating She-Hulk in trials, convincing Nick Fury angry not to do things. She has been doing this for a very long time. And so when her attorneys ask her, is there anything else we should be concerned about? There's literally everything to be concerned about. But Emma Frost isn't going to worry about those things. She will face them if they surface. But Kingpin is going to be very careful because he doesn't want anything connecting back to him. He will lose legitimacy if that happens. But Emma Frost, she does have a solution. She knows where that little girl is. And so being able to bring her, show her to everybody, show that she is not dead, she was in fact rescued, this is going to clear her name. And that is what's going to take us years ago at the Hellfire Club. With Emma Frost sitting here enjoying her evening, we have the arrival of Elektra. And Elektra shows up saying that she needs the help of Emma Frost. Because while she was out working, while she was out doing what Kingpin asked of her, she had been seen. She had been seen by a young child, with Emma reading her mind and seeing everything that happened. Rarely is Emma Frost at a loss for words. And Elektra kinda takes this offensively, because the truth is, Elektra, she may be the muscle. She may go in there and kill them. And while Emma Frost believes she's saving these people, rescuing them and putting them into hiding, most of the time they end up dead, they're in jail, or they go broke. Elektra just believes that she is ending all of their suffering before they can really endure what she calls the 1,000 cuts. Because that is what she believes Emma Frost does. Gives them death by 1,000 cuts. But Emma Frost, she decides that she's going to help Elektra out. They're going to get this little girl and they are going to get her to safety because she saw something, which means Kingpin, he will stop at nothing to ensure that there are no witnesses. With Emma Frost and Elektra breaking into this little girl's apartment, her parents aren't home, out doing whatever it is they're wanting to do. The biggest issue is that this news has already gotten back to Kingpin. He knows that little girl is alive. He knows that little girl saw Elektra, and so he sends a team in. He sends a team to find her and take them all out, ensuring that there are no witnesses. With them making their way up the fire escape, both Elektra and Emma, they know what is on the way. Lucky for them, we have your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man who just happens to be swinging by, with his spider senses going crazy because Emma Frost is inside his head. He stops everything he is doing, he goes into this building, only to find himself face to face with the police. Spider-Man, he has no idea what is going on. But almost immediately, we see Elektra, she starts slicing and dicing. Meanwhile, we have Emma Frost waking up the little girl and letting her know that we have to get out of here. We are going to take you somewhere safe, somewhere where all of these bad men can't come get you. Now, this little girl, she's not necessarily dumb. She's really trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Her biggest question is, are you kidnapping me? Now, Emma tells her this isn't a kidnapping. I'm your friend. Friends don't kidnap each other. We're just taking you somewhere safe. And she also lets her know, like, you can go with all those bad guys, you can go with Elektra, or you can come with me, and we'll have a good time, we'll have a fun time, and we'll get you out of New York. Now, her being a foster kid, she doesn't really have attachment to the parents that she lives with. So if it's an option between going with Emma Frost or staying back with Elektra and all of these cops that came here to kill her, she's headed off with the White Queen. Spider-Man trying to cut them off and figure out what the heck is going on. This is where Emma does a little bit of mind manipulation, lets him know that he is going to hold them off and forget about all of this the moment they are all gone. But she also peers into his mind, seeing Uncle Ben, seeing everything that has happened, seeing the trials and tribulations that what made Spider-Man Spider-Man. And Emma Frost, she gives him a kiss on the cheek and she thanks him for everything he does and everything that he is about to do, sending Spider-Man to go help Elektra before she puts all of these guys in the morgue. Emma Frost and this little girl, they head downstairs to a limo. What Emma Frost did not know is that Kingpin had a photographer standing by waiting to take the picture, keeping this picture hidden for all of this time, finally using it as ammo, giving it to the newspapers, and they run with it. Missing girl last seen with the White Queen, and so it is believed that the White Queen has something to do with her death. But Emma Frost knows exactly where she is. Right now, she is in London. She has been living in England all of this time. Now, there's not supposed to be any gates for mutants, for the X-Men, for Krakoa on England any longer, because mutants are no longer allowed inside of England. But Emma Frost, being Emma Frost, at the old Hellfire Club, she has a gate hidden away, coming out dressed like Kitty Pryde, trying to have a disguise so people don't know that it is Emma Frost. She walks out of here only to realize that this place is under surveillance, getting into the mind of the driver, telling him to go to the nearest water and drive them straight into the depths. Taking this opportunity to try and get away, Emma Frost, she takes a punch straight to the face. With side blockers in, throwing down a grenade so she can't turn into her diamond form, Emma Frost is being informed that she is under arrest. She is being extradited back to New York, and she is going to face charges of child endangerment, kidnapping, and more than likely murder. And so by all accounts, Emma Frost, she has been played, with Kingpin more than enjoying this day. Emma Frost, she vows that while he will enjoy this day, he will not enjoy tomorrow. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, what we are seeing is Doc Ock really taking over the Fantastic Four lab, now having access to every single one of Reed Richards' toys, experiments, anything you can imagine that is in the Fantastic Four lab is now Doc Ock's. And so since Mayor Fisk had already unearthed everyone's secrets, the Fantastic Four are gone, and his tenure at this building has now begun. And his first act was to summon 3 other Auto variants, other Octaviuses from across the multiverse. And those 3 are made up of Auto Banner, a Hulk variant from Earth 8816. You have Auto Blaze, a Ghost Rider variant from Earth 1666. And then Auto Howlet from Earth 9712, our Wolverine variant. And at this point, the other Autos, they're not really sure why they have been summoned to 616. But he lets them know that they have every intention of contacting every single variant out there. They are going to scour the multiverse. And what he wants to create is a Council of Ox. And this will help them control everything. And at this point, all of the other Autos, they seem to be on board with it, but they are highly skeptical, because at the end of the day, they aren't Reed Richards. Not only that, you have to worry about paradoxes, but if they can find a way of mitigating all of these issues, they could very easily become Reed Richards. And though he knows they are doubting his plan right now, his plan of total conquest over the entire multiverse is about to unfold. But the question is, how often do you repeat throughout the multiverse? Are there even enough variants of you out there to create what you want to do? If you want total conquest, if you want to take everything over, there has to be a good amount of Doc Ocks out there to be able to implement this. And Dr. Octavius lets everyone know that there is an infinite amount of Dr. Octaviuses, saying that he is a fixed variant, like Iron Man, like Spider-Man. Now, of course, all of the others, they're still very skeptical. Hulk goes to do some numbers, trying to crack it down, see if this is actually true, and if it's something that they can do. But Dr. Octavius, he doesn't want to wait around. He opens up the bridge immediately and tells them it is now or never. And so they all agree. Curiosity really getting the better of all of them needing to find out what he's trying to do, what he really wants to accomplish. And so going through the portal, we arrive at the Gutted Gulch. This is Earth 5069. And as they arrive here, they go looking for any trace of an auto variant. But as they look around, this planet looks like it's gone into full extinction. Something has happened here where it has wiped all life from the surface of this planet, believing this planet to be completely barren. That is, until we see the arrival of the Iron Scab, letting them know that they need to get back into their portal and they need to leave this universe. Our Superior Four not willing to do that, we see the fight break out. And though Iron Scab, he tries with everything he can to take these guys down, at the end of the day, he is no match for the Superior Four. And with him pinned down, Dr. Octavius is trying to get him to say his name, saying that you have to know who I am. If you know who Wolverine, Hulk, and everyone else is, then you should know who I am. But the truth of the matter is the Iron Scab has no idea who Dr. Octavius is. Dr. Octavius not sure how to take this, believing himself to be a fixed variant in the multiverse, that there has to be a version of him somewhere on this planet at some point in time. But he begins to lose power to his arms. And with this loss of power, he is done here. With Ghost Rider turning Iron Scab into a flame, they make their exit. They head back to Earth 616. And with Auto Hulk now re-establishing the connection between his arms and his brain, Ghost Rider lets us know that there has some kind of magical sigil that was going on. Dr. Octavius saying that he doesn't believe in this in the slightest bit, that he doesn't believe in magic. But Blaze knows what it's like to do a devil's bargain, letting him know the Mephisto always wins. And we know that Dr. Octavius, he made a deal with the devil, and he is missing part of his memory because of this. And this absence has led to him developing some type of inferiority complex. And now with him having complete control of his arms again, everyone going ahead and taking a nap for a little bit. While everyone slept, Dr. Octavius, he created bridges to every single variant that was out there. And he came to one conclusion. The failed state of their supremacy, it can be corrected. Because right now they are in a superposition. Their reign in both certain and complete failure at the same time. They cannot conceive what comes next until they clash. To measure the multiverse, they have to clash with themselves. They are going to wage war on themselves, entangle within the wave function of their collective existence. And due to the conservation of momentum, with one strike, their fates will be intertwined with every auto variant in the multiverse. This will send a destructive wave through the multiverse, where they will, by definition, don't know what happens next. And so if they can make this act of cosmic transgression, the implications, they could be vast. Be it a person, a tree, a squirrel, all life goes somewhere when it dies, and the multiverse branches. And so while this is extremely risky, one singular death, it could very well cause a dozen different branches. This would create new Octaviuses all over the multiverse, or it might simply consolidate their power. Either way, they are gaining insight to their multiversal existence. And Dr. Octavius has already done the math. He spent hours piloting the bridge, and there are 3,409 different variants of Auto. And there is only one Auto out there in all of those realities that knows the kind of power needed to defeat them. And so with them opening up the portal, they are headed to the first variant. And the first Earth they go to is Earth 2902. The Fresh Fawn City. And as they arrive in this jungle city, they quickly get the scent of the other Auto, of the other variant that is out there. The Superior Four making their way through the city, they turn a corner to find the individual they are looking for. This is Superior Spider-Man, and he lets them know, I smelled you guys as soon as you came through that portal. And he lets them know, I know exactly why you are here. This is actually something that I have seen coming for quite a few years now. And we see TJ, he starts wrecking these guys, starts taking on all of the Superior Four, one at a time, until he goes against Wolverine. with the adamantium legs. They cut right through TJ's legs. With him getting thrown off his balance, Dr. Octavius uses his arms and throws him into a wall. And now with Superior Spider-Man down on the ground, they all start to jump him. And with him bloody, bruised, and beaten, he tries to let them know, don't let your anger, don't let your hatred control everything that you do, because every single one of you are tormented by the ghosts of the past. But if you look at me, someone who had his father die, liberated from abuse, celebrated a young age, and became amazing, and he lets Dr. Octavius know that you, of every single variant out there, you could be the best of us. If you would let go of your hate, if you would let go of your anger, if you would stop trying to take total conquest into the equation, you could be the best variant that has ever existed. But Dr. Octavius, he has already gone down a path he can't come back from. Or at least this is what he believes. And what he is about to do next will only solidify that harder. Because he didn't come here to merely kill him. He came here to take everything from him. To take his power. To take his memories. To take everything that is TJ and absorb it into him. Putting this device on his forehead, that is exactly what we see happen. And just like that, we have the death of Superior Spider-Man. And so with one down and several thousand to go, they head off to the next world. Now little do they know that there is a Dr. Octavius variant out there. The one from Earth 7214. And this one is probably the most powerful of all the Dr. Octaviuses. He is the one individual that will be able to challenge any kind of council that forms, that will be able to challenge the Superior Four. And he is able to detect that one of them have died. One of the variants have gone silent. And the one responsible is Dr. Octavius from 616, now saying that it is finally time to act. And though he is still completely blind to his existence, Dr. Octavius of 616, he doesn't even know that this war being waged, this invisible war that is happening, Dr. Octavius of 616 is nowhere near as superior as Supreme Octavius. Because Supreme Octavius is Dr. Doom, Dr. Strange, and Dr. Octavius all in one variant. And Dr. Octavius of 616, he doesn't know it yet, but this will be his end. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 2, we are picking up with the Supreme Octopus. The man who is Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, Dr. Octavius, all in one person. On this planet, in this universe, he is the Supreme. And what he is doing right now is looking at all of the variants in the different universes that are himself. And what he sees is that they are not a key figure in almost all timelines. In fact, Dr. Octavius usually dies in some horrific or gruesome way. The statistical constant of his existence, it is failure. But our Supreme Octopus, he gets no joy from looking at all of these variants losing their lives. He does this so he can understand what is about to come. Because Supreme Octopus, out of all of the variants that exist, this is the anomaly. Supreme Octopus is the anomaly. And he has been tasked to keep himself and all of his variants in line. And right now, his eye is on 616. As Doc Ock from Earth 616 is in the bridge, as he scans the multiverse looking for other variants that he could take out and take their knowledge. This is when he runs into the Supreme Octopus. And he is letting Doc Ock know that it is time for him to stop. That this will be his first and final warning. And that when the dust settles, Supreme Octopus will still be standing, and Doc Ock, he will either be exiled or he will be dead. But in the midst of this conversation, he is interrupted with Banner ripping off the headset, because right now, all of the other auto variants, They are not happy, with them believing that maybe the Doc Ock of 616, he has just gone too far. At one point in time, he worried about preserving the timeline, but now that he has this hunger for knowledge, there seems to be nothing that he won't do, no matter the consequences. But what starts off looking like an intervention, it turns more into a mutiny. Though Banner, Blaze, and Howlet have no intention of really turning this violent, Dr. Octopus doesn't give them any chance, with him believing that they are all beneath him, believing himself to be the most intelligent and brilliant in the room. We see the fight kick off, and really our variants, they're trying to calm him down. Because at the end of the day, they don't want violence. They don't want to kill one another. They just want him to see reason. He has created a paradox, and they really don't know what kind of effect that is going to have on the timeline. Not only that, he wants to continue this. Not knowing the ramifications of their actions, they just want to pause for a second. With Dr. Octopus unwilling to do this, with the battle continuing to ensue, we see the portal open up. The portal that gives them access to the multiverse. And we see all of our autos, they get sucked into the portal, landing on Earth 7214. This place is a desolate wasteland. Recognizing that there has been some kind of mass extinction event that had transpired here, they're trying to figure out what is going on, with Doc Ock from 616 letting them know he believes that they were sent here. But none of the other autos, they don't want to hear this, because he's been babbling on about talking to some kind of supreme being that is out there, when the reality is, they believe that he is responsible because of his antics back in the laboratory. And with all of our autos furious, getting ready to gut Doc Ock, we see a giant tidal wave. It comes flooding in, and it crashes over all of them, with Dr. Octopus from 616, a portal opening up underneath his feet and him falling through. And that is what brings us to the savage lands of Earth 6968, because Supreme Octopus is responsible for bringing them to this location. And though Doc Ock, he tries to do a little bit of chest beating, Supreme Octopus lets him know that you just need to stop. No matter how intelligent, no matter how strong, or how powerful you believe yourself to be, I am the Supreme Octopus. I am your superior, and you will bow to me in my presence. And no matter how much you would like to fight it, this is the inevitable outcome. The things you have done, the course that you have taken has brought you right before me. And with Doc Ock trying to put on a good display, Supreme Octopus, he doesn't care. Because the reality is, he is the one who burned Null to ashes. Dormammu had bowed at his feet. He pulled him from another universe with the flick of his wrist. But the truth is, Supreme Octopus, he is not here to kill him, and that if he truly wants to fight, they can do that. He can tell that his ego is going to drive him, though he warns him he should think logically, because Supreme, he knows how this ends. The other autos, they don't save him, because while they may not say it, they crave the knowledge that he has. With Dr. Octavius from 616 and all of the variants that he has gathered together, they form up and they get ready to take down Supreme Octopus, with him giving them one last warning, saying that if they bow now at his feet, he will give them all of the knowledge that they may seek, but they rather resort to violence. And with the fight getting on the way, they think they have the upper hand because they have the numbers. But the truth is, this fight was over as soon as it began, with Supreme Octopus taking on all of our variants one by one. All of the variants, they're bringing their A game, but they are no comparison to the might and strength of Supreme Octopus. With all of the variants on the ground, attending to their bruises and their wounds, they quickly recognize the magic that he is using, with this being the same magic that they encountered on Earth 5069. The same magic that caused Otto's arms to fail. The magic that he is currently using to hold Doc Ock from 616 down. This is where they learn he can cast interdimensional magic. With each of our autos bending the knee to Supreme Octopus. This fight has come to its end. But Dr. Octavius from 616, with him being held down by this magic, he has lost all connection to his extra arms. And because of that, they have to amputate them, with each of the variants grabbing a hold of one of the arms. We see Dr. Octavius stripped of all of his arms, and with his most prized possession being stolen and ripped away from him. We pick up at the Supreme Sanctorum. This is where Dr. Octavius from 616 is being held prisoner for his actions against the multiverse. For not heeding the warning of Supreme Octopus, he has been imprisoned with no sign of getting loose. But in his solitude, he vows that he will break himself free, and he will prove himself to be the superior. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with Wilson Fisk. Currently sitting up in his bed, he is hiding out in his cabin. The cabin that has all the information on every single person that he has been able to collect information on. And that list of individuals is much bigger than you could ever imagine. But he has been so bothered with everything that Daredevil has been doing that he is even fighting with him in his dreams. As Wilson Fisk starts to sit up, we see that he is still sleeping, but he begins to sleepwalk. Meanwhile, on the outside of the facility, that is where we have Bucky Barnes. We have the Winter Soldier. Now, Bucky, he hasn't slept in days. And for him, this isn't anything that's necessarily outside of the unusual. When he was in Sri Lanka, he was able to stay awake for an entire week. But it has been 3 weeks since he has gotten anywhere close to rest. Even though he has no one to fight, even though he has no mission. And by the world's definition, he could very easily go back to being Bucky Barnes and no one would think twice about it. And though Bucky hasn't been able to get any kind of rest, it doesn't mean that he hasn't had nightmares. And those nightmares are appearing to him while he is wide awake. He sees the blood in pools in the rain and tears down the faces of the faces that are never changing. Because what he sees is his consequences. The consequences for every life that he has ever took. For every action that was ill-fated. The only issue is he cannot see these faces. They appear as blurs to him. Anytime they begin to gain focus, he loses it. And so he finds himself falling into this abyss, time and time again, not knowing his past, not knowing the things that he has done. And though he is able to pull it together, he promises himself, tonight will bring him some peace. And that is because, according to his connection in the intelligence agency, Fisk has files. Files on heroes, on their friends, secret identities, secret missions, secret histories. And it is thought that his file is in fact inside this mansion. Every official record of his life has been annihilated from every archive. Virtually anyone ever involved has died, or they have been killed to protect the past. Those consequences, the ones in his dreams, those are the ones that he sees in the dark even now. Having no idea who he was, having no idea of the things that he did, he has to find out the past to figure out what he is going to do next. With this being the last chance of him ever uncovering the truth. And he knows that it is likely his past is stained in even more blood than he thought. But he needs to know. For him to be able to move forward, he wants to know his past. Because the truth is, he didn't truly break his programming. He didn't give him a second chance in life. That was Steve Rogers. And a flash of the cosmic cube, everything was forgiven. But forgiving himself requires something much more. He needs to understand who he was. He needs to know what he was. And that includes every bad deed that he ever did, every life that he ever took. He finally needs to look his past eye to eye. And so with him making his way inside the mansion, he goes sneaking around. But as he looks around, it looks like someone has already made their way inside. And that is because all of Fisk's bodyguards, they are lying on the ground and they are all dead. But he keeps pressing forward, not really knowing what to expect, believing maybe someone else is here for the same exact reason. He breaks his way into the vault. Getting inside the vault, there are no alarms in the house, and so this is relatively easy. He is able to break in, he grabs a handful of files, including his own file. But this is when he hears it, the breathing from directly behind him. As Bucky begins to turn around, he sees nothing but the shadow of the mountain. That mountain being Kingpin. And Wilson Fisk's fists, they are completely bloodied. And Bucky tries to explain himself, tries letting him know, you know who I am, and though they may be on opposite sides of the line, that he is more than willing to pay for this information, letting him know that he sold his house in Indiana. The house, the property, all of it converted into cash that he can put into his hands right now. That they don't have to fight. They don't have to bring this to an escalation that will have either of them walking away bloody and broken. He just wants the opportunity to actually sleep. But Bucky realizes that Fisk, he's not responding. He is just standing there, and his eyes are closed. He is sleepwalking, probably having no idea that Bucky is even here. All of that blood on his fists have to be from his bodyguards. With him believing that he is asleep and he is fighting Daredevil, he has killed every single one of his guards. And now, Bucky is the only one that stands in front of him. And Wilson Fisk starts to lay down some haymakers. Now, Bucky had heard that Wilson Fisk was strong, but Bucky had no clue that he was in fact this strong. And that's when panic begins to set in. His exhaustion is rising to match it, and then finally, his training kicks in. Focus, evasion, acquiring and moving as quickly as he can. And though Fisk goes quiet only for a moment, that is until he comes bashing through a wall. And at this point, Bucky is just doing everything he can to stay out of the grasp of the mammoth known as Kingpin. With Wilson Fisk grabbing hold of him, Bucky is screaming and punching, trying to wake up Fisk, doing everything he can to bring him back to the land of the living. And with the Winter Soldier getting thrown across the building, he is in the kitchen, he finds a knife, and he goes to use it. But nothing is working against Fisk. And with all of this destruction, that is when the ceiling begins to collapse. And Bucky realizes this might be it. This might be the day that he actually dies. But with his training screaming at him to complete the mission, and he gets the opportunity, he breaks away. In this breakaway, he is able to make it to a window and jump outside of it. And in the same instance, the entire mansion comes crumbling down. With the police on the outside, not sure if Fisk is alive or not, we see him climb out of the rubble, and he lets Wesley know that he had the most wonderful dream. And that's where we pick up with the Winter Soldier. We see him burning the files of Darkhawk and Moon Knight, assuming that there are other files in here as well, and we can only assume that the Winter Soldier read those files. But now is the moment of truth. This is where he gets to read his file. And this is where he learns that Wilson Fisk, he didn't compile this, he stole it. Someone else, someone much more powerful than him, put this list together. They never identify themselves, but their notes, they begin when he was born. They have files on his father, on his mother, on his report cards, how he failed chemistry. He learns that he killed 374 people over the course of 78 operational years, with only 91 of those kills as part of the Winter Soldier program. They list him as active duty as if he is still working for them, and it gets him thinking maybe he hasn't. Maybe he is still working for them. Maybe this is all part of the game. And so for the first time in years, he finally feels clear. He has a purpose. He has a hunt. He has a mission that whoever wrote these files, they won't survive this year. And as for closure, he says that he will sleep when he is dead. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we have Ben Reilly, aka Spider-Man, currently standing in for Peter Parker. But Spider-Man, he is in rough shape, because this interrogation by the police, it has gone rough. They have been beating him down, with him bleeding all over the place. They are trying to get his name, and it could be very simple for them to just run his prints and try to figure out who he is. But the issue is, half of the department, they are divided, because Spider-Man, all of these heroes, they have saved the day so many times, and prosecuting them for doing what they have always done, a lot of them, they don't agree with this. But this interrogation, it is quickly cut short, and that is because we have the arrival of the Thing and Johnny Storm. And they come letting everybody know that we're not here for a fight. We're not trying to hurt anybody. We are simply trying to get our friend from whatever is going on here. And with Johnny quickly melting the door that is holding Spider-Man inside, with the Thing knocking down the wall, they let these guys know that they are taking Spider-Man with him. And with them making their escape, they now go to hide underground. With everybody on the lam right now, going to a hospital isn't even an option for them at this current time. But there are hopes in changing all of this. That hope, it lies with Luke Cage. He is running against Mayor Fisk. He is going to try and be mayor so we can get rid of this ridiculous law. And with him giving his speech, letting everyone know that he is here to help everybody, and criminalizing superheroes for saving the day like they have done time and time again, is criminal. It is unethical. And he reminds them that we are talking about Kingpin, the kingpin of crime, that he has never had intention of saving this city. He is only making it look like he is the one saving you all, when the reality is, this is all a ploy to put you guys in a state of fear. But Luke Cage vows that he will save this city, like he has done time and time again, directing all legal questions over to Franklin Nelson. Him and Jessica, they head out. Not really sure what the future holds, but they believe that this is their best option. If they are going to combat somebody like Mayor Fisk, they think it is best that they do it politically. Now that's where we pick up with Sue Storm, currently talking to her lawyer, trying to figure out what options they actually have. Now, of course, they made some chumped up charges, and they are doing this in an effort to keep them away from the Baxter building. All a ploy by Dr. Octavius. And so, for at least the time being, our Fantastic Four team, they are separated. And it doesn't look like Sue or Reed are getting out of jail anytime soon. And so we are taken to the Purple Man, currently in confinement, being kept prisoner by Wilson Fisk. And the Purple Man, he has to ask the question that why are you doing this? Because the reality is, you are using my power to persuade one city. And the Purple Man calls this kind of small potatoes. Like, for someone like Kingpin, for Wilson Fisk, going after New York City, enacting a superhero law, it feels like it's kind of beneath you with all of the power that you have already acquired. Now, Wilson Fisk, he seems to be acting like this is some kind of ploy as something bigger, making the small steps, and those small steps sometimes win a war. But the Purple Man, he knows what this is all about. This is all about Daredevil. Daredevil has gotten under his skin, like a tick that will not get out. And more than that, Wilson Fisk is missing memories. He doesn't know this yet. He knows something is missing though, and he knows that Daredevil, he did something. And the Purple Man, he knows exactly what is going on. He didn't piece it together until just this minute. Hearing that information, he was able to put the puzzle piece back together. He knows what is going on because he can feel his own power being used against him. Now, it's not at full strength. It definitely feels like his diluted power. And there is only one way for this to be possible. That is his children. With Wilson Fisk getting in contact with Doc Ock, he lets him know that it is time to find the Purple Man's children. And Octavius, he really tells him that you can pretty much F off. That our arrangement, it is settled, I did exactly what you needed, and I have no obligation to continue helping you out. And Octavius lets him know that I will help you out, but I am not going and hunting down any kind of children for you. That if you want me to do this work, you find the children and let me know when that is completed. With Dr. Octavius hanging up the phone, we see him and his variants. They are working in the lab. As it stands, they are all sharing the same dream. They want ultimate power in all of the multiverse. But as it stands, they have multiple setbacks, so they aren't able to get 100% where they need to be. And Dr. Octavius, he lets all of them know that we will go out soon enough. Give me a little bit more time, give me a little bit of patience, and I promise you, we will let our superiority be known. Now, all of our heroes that have been hiding out, they are currently gathered and they're talking about what they're gonna do next. Looking at the most recent polls, Luke Cage is not doing well. Mayor Fisk is doing fantastic. And while Luke Cage is a little bit surprised about this, he really shouldn't be, because at the end of the day, they voted on him to begin with. They already voted him in once, so why wouldn't they do it again? Because Fisk, he uses fear as power, creating all of this fear inside of all of the civilians. This is what's making them decide to vote for Fisk. Now, Jessica Jones, this is where she begins to feel something. She feels the Purple Man. They are using him in some way, shape, or form to influence everybody. This has been the secret weapon of Fisk this entire time. The heroes completely unaware of that, but now they know for certain. And Daredevil, recognizing that the people are having their free will essentially taken away from them, he's ready to go put a stop to Kingpin. And Captain America, he goes to butt in to try to slow them down and maybe talk this out and figure out what they're gonna do. But Daredevil, he lets Cap know that I am going whether you like it or not. You can either join us or you can stay behind. And in the alleyways of the city, that is where we have the children of the Purple Man. Currently out on the streets, there is nowhere safe for them to go. Thunderbolts out on patrol, searching everywhere for them. And while they are hiding, we see a wonderful old lady come up and offer them some kind of shelter, at least for the night. They thought maybe we could influence her, maybe we could use our powers on her, but why not accept somebody's kindness and compassion when they offer it to us? Because if we're going to be part of the society, if we are going to live here, we have to learn to trust somebody at some point in time. But picking up with our heroes, they are about to make their attack on Wilson Fisk. As they sit on the building top right outside of his place, this is where they get attacked, because we have the arrival of Dr. Octavius and all of his variants. With Hulk Octavius bashing through the side of the building, this battle is underway, with Iron Man being taken down by Ghost Rider, burning him, and he is falling out of the sky. We have our Hulk variant that is just beating She-Hulk down into the ground. And while this fight is happening, in the background, we have Wilson Fisk that is watching everything unfold. Though this was completely unexpected to him, this is definitely playing in his favor. Now, Dr. Octavius and all of his variants, they had come here in an opportunity to take Fisk down. They were going to remove him from his seat of power. They had every intention of taking this power for themselves. And Dr. Octavius, he had already had a political candidate to try to take him down. That candidate was Tony Stark, or at least we believed was Tony Stark. But underneath that Iron Man suit, it is Chameleon. With Dr. Octavius replacing Tony Stark with Chameleon, that is why Tony Stark has been acting so weird lately. And so because his candidate had been taken out of the fight, he is gonna make it look like he is saving the city from all of the heroes. That he is going to take all of them down now that he is deputized as a Thunderbolt. And for our heroes, this is not a fight that they expected to be fighting today. They expected to go in, take down Kingpin, and try to figure out how he is connected to the Purple Man. They did not expect Dr. Octavius and all of his variants to make their attack. Completely outnumbered, unequipped, and unready for this fight, they have to make their escape. And while all of this is going on, we see Franklin Nelson headed into his office. As he goes in there, he is met by two thugs. Two thugs that are ready to silence him. Using a crowbar, they bash until he is bloody. until he has no voice to say anything again. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with the Human Torch and the Thing. They had rescued Ben Reilly, rescuing him before he is able to be taken down by the Thunderbolts, arrested, and thrown into jail alongside all of our other heroes. As soon as Ben and Johnny are out of here, our Spider-Man is confronted by Thunderbolts. But this time, this Thunderbolt, he is wielding a freaking cannon. Not really having any patience for Spider-Man, he pulls the trigger, almost taking him out. With another one coming up from behind him, putting a power dampening collar around his neck, they are able to arrest Spider-Man and throw him into the back of the van. And so with Ben Reilly currently under arrest, that is where we pick up with Marcus. And Marcus, right now, the police, everybody, they're trying to find out the identity of Spider-Man. Believing that Marcus has that information, people are searching for him. More specifically, the Rose is searching for him, with the Rose finding him and kidnapping him, leaving only his signature rose behind. But picking up with Spider-Man in the back of this Thunderbolt van, he is quickly learning that there is something weird about this situation. While these guys, they hold the uniforms, they don't really seem to be Thunderbolt agents. In fact, these guys seem to be criminals wearing Thunderbolt outfits. And once they say something that tips Ben off enough to confirm his suspicion, he kicks the crap out of this guy and he jumps out of the van. Jumping out of the van with that cannon right next to him, the van, it comes careening in to try to take him out. He shoots the van and it puts that van down, crushes it like a freaking tin can. And with the news reports going out that all of this is transpiring, Ben's girlfriend can't help but to freak out. Lucky for her, he shows up downstairs on the security cameras asking to be buzzed in. And so with Spider-Man making it safely back to his girlfriend's place, or his place and his girlfriend's place, that is what brings us back to the Rose, aka Richard Fisk. This being the son of Kingpin, or at least one of the sons of Kingpin. And we're going to talk more about Butch here later on, because right now Butch is the Kingpin, but the Rose, he has aspirations to be Kingpin himself. And so what he is doing is hiring these guys to go in and kidnap Spider-Man, because if the Rose can capture Spider-Man and find out his identity, something that his father was never able to do, then maybe he will earn the respect of his father and earn the title of Kingpin. Unfortunately, his guys dressed up as Thunderbolts, they failed, coming to him and letting him know that they failed in capturing him. The Rose finding this with a huge frustration, believing that this would be much easier than he believed. He is finding this task to be much more difficult, and so he goes to his backup plan. His backup plan is Marcus, having him kidnapped, hoping that he will give him the information that he is seeking. And so taking us back to both Ben and his girlfriend. Right now he's just getting a quick medical exam. She's really voicing her concerns, all that, so on and so forth. It's really just showing the connection that is building up, the relationship that is building up, how much they care about one another. And her biggest concern right now is that Ben, he is considered a fugitive. And so this is no longer a game. No, not that it was a game before, but now you really can't mess around, because if they capture you, who knows where they will put you. But with their conversation really starting to come to a close, Maxine comes into the room and lets them know that she is done examining the cannon that had been used against him. This cannon is S.H.I.E.L.D. technology. Though S.H.I.E.L.D. may be disbanded, someone is out there, they are manipulating, they are selling, and they are changing this technology, creating different weapons from it. This weapon specifically had been created to be able to take down the Hulk, or at least in an attempt to try to take down the Hulk. and that is why it packs such a freaking punch. But Maxine lets Ben know that this all connects back to the Rose, wondering how this is connecting back to him, why he would buy these kind of weapons. That is the $1,000,000 question, and the answer to that question is that he has been making some very lucrative deals on the streets. He has been selling these weapons to gangs all across the city, but they also let him know that Marcus is now missing. And so with Marcus missing, Ben Reilly, he suits up and he goes out to find his friend, taking us back to the Rose and Marcus. The Rose, he is threatening to torture him, or at least making it look like he is going to torture him. Marcus not bending, not breaking, asking if the Rose is in fact going to torture him. The Rose lets him know that I have no intention of actually doing that. In all honesty, I was hoping that you saw the knife, you would be squeamish, and you would spill your guts. Recognizing that he's got a little more fortitude than that. The Rose not wanting to go to the extreme of actually torturing someone. He's really left out of options. And so now he needs to figure out what to do next. How can he lure in the Spider-Man so that he can capture him? As Spider-Man makes his way through the city, he is looking for any sign of Marcus, any sign of the Rose. This is when a Thunderbolt call goes out, letting them know that they have captured Spider-Man. The Thunderbolts have him surrounded. With Ben Reilly being on a rooftop, he has to go investigate. Getting closer to on the scene, we are seeing that this is obviously not Spider-Man, looking very heavy set. The Thunderbolts, they even notice this, make fun of him, but they go to arrest him anyway, believing that this is Spider-Man. That is until Ben Reilly, he comes swinging in and he takes care of these Thunderbolts in a matter of moments, knocking all of them down to the ground, knocking them all out. He goes and rescues this overweight Spider-Man, only for it to be revealed as Marcus, because the Rose, he set this up as a trap. With him inside the vehicle directly behind them, we see a giant blast come from this because the Rose, he just used the Hulk cannon to try to open up the entire street, missing both Marcus and Ben just by inches. It looks like that he might have the upper hand on Spider-Man, with all of his focus currently on Spider-Man, trying to uncover who he might be. This is where Marcus comes up from behind him and electrocutes him, putting the Rose down onto the ground. The two of them, they hobble their way back to Beyond Tower. This is where Ben Reilly has been getting funded for everything that he has been doing when it comes to superheroism. And with the two of them getting patched up, with the two of them really starting to create a good bond, a good friendship back with the Thunderbolts, they believe that they have captured Spider-Man, having a guy in custody that is wearing a Spidey suit, thinking that Mayor Fisk is going to be extremely pleased with them. They pull Spider-Man out of the van, taunting him, teasing him. They go to pull off his mask, only to see that it is Richard Fisk. It is the Rose underneath the Spider-Man suit. And so if Mayor Fisk wasn't angry at Spider-Man before, now he is going to be livid, believing that he had Spider-Man in his grasp, only to find out that he was tricked. Alright gang, so diving into issue number 4, we are picking up 2 weeks into this law enacted against all of our vigilantes. Not only that, we are seeing what they call security drones going around and policing, making sure that nobody is wearing any kind of mask, making sure that there are no superheroes, there are no criminals. They are taking down everyone who is a threat in this city. And after seeing these drones, it actually reminds me of Batman's future state. And Daredevil, he questions all of this, because the truth of the matter is he is the man without fear. And if Mayor Fisk thinks he is going to put people into fear, into hiding, and scare them, he's got another thing coming when it comes to Daredevil. And so picking up with Mayor Fisk, he is currently having a conversation with Doc Ock. Mayor Fisk, he really wants to know why Dr. Octavius, with his newfound variants and so on and so forth, hasn't come to try to take the crown. And he lets Mayor Fisk know that you've always been obsessed with power, and I am more than happy to let you sit in your little seat and have your little fun. But what he is doing, he thinks he is making the world a better place, that he is making it a safer place. But the real reason that Dr. Octavius is here is because he is letting Kingpin know that crime is at an all-time low. And because of this, his son, Butch, has been arrested because Dr. Octavius, he isn't giving his son any kind of leeway. If Butch is running for Kingpin of this city, he is part of the problem as well. Now that's where we pick up with Daredevil going to visit Foggy, because Foggy had recently gotten jumped, beating him to a bloody pulp. He is sitting in the hospital and he's been recovering for quite some time now. But with him in much better shape, Matt Murdock, he's really feeling the guilt of having one of his friends hurt in all of this craziness. Now, of course, Foggy lets him know that he signed up to do this, everything he does, to help the people of this city. And so he doesn't want to hear how Daredevil is sorry for him, because he knew what he was signing up for. He knew exactly what could happen. And with someone coming down the hall, this is where we see Mike trying to keep up the persona of Matt Murdock, coming to visit his quote-unquote friend Foggy in the hospital. But Daredevil lets him know that it's time that you stop all this. I saw you with Butch, I don't know what you're into, but you're no good. Now Mike tries to tell him that I wanted to talk to you about that, but Matt won't hear him out, saying that you're no good, you need to get away from here, go back to whatever rock you crawled out from. And with Mike walking off, we have the arrival of Kristen, and they have a brief conversation, but the gist of what we're getting is that Daredevil, he might be accepting that the only way to solve this problem is to kill Mayor Fisk. And that's what's going to take us to Mayor Fisk himself, currently sitting around with his deputized Thunderbolts. He is sending them out on a mission to look for the children, to look for the Purple Man's children. And when US Agent goes to question this job, because US Agent, he is all about taking down bad guys and doing what is right. Though his mentality may be a little bit twisted up on that, he has to question, why are we going after children? Mayor Fisk, using his cane, his little power of persuasion, he tells US Agent that you will do what you are told. And that persuasion, it works on him. With him saying, yes sir, we see the Thunderbolts, they head out into the city looking for the kids. Meanwhile, back at the prison, we have Mr. Fantastic, we have Sue Storm, Moon Knight, and Tony Stark. They have all made a jailbreak. And that's because Reed Richards, he literally created these power dampening collars, and he put in failsafes just in case a situation like this ever arose. And so finally, taking their time, waiting for the perfect opportunity, they make their jailbreak. And on the other side of town, we have Mayor Fisk freeing his son from prison, bailing him out and letting him released. We see Mayor Fisk, he really is trying to have some kind of relationship with Butch. But at this point, Butch wants nothing to do with him. Butch knowing exactly why his mother had kept him away for all of these years, knowing exactly the person that Kingpin is. But moreover, Butch is sickened by his father. He is a man that sits here and likes to play like he has power. But the truth of the matter is, if it wasn't for Dr. Octavius, none of this would be possible. And so as Butch sees it, Mayor Fisk is under the thumb of Doc Ock, which makes him nothing more than a puppet. And we see him spit in the face of Mayor Fisk. And you just got to imagine the restraint that Wilson Fisk is holding back, because he could literally just pummel Butch to an absolute dirt. But he is holding back. He is restraining himself. The question is, how long is he willing to continuously take this abuse from his son before he makes him fall in line? Now that's where we pick up with the champions. We have Ironheart, Miss Marvel, and a few other of our individuals going up against Rhino. But Rhino, he is not here to fight, or at least that is what he is trying to tell them, with the champions not believing him, with the champions getting the upper hand, that is until the swarm of drones, they start hovering right above them. Rhino quickly starts passing out the Thunderbolt badges, telling all of the champions that they need to put them on, and they need to put them on right now. putting them on, the drones, they fly right past them. And Rhino lets them know that I've been trying to tell you guys, I am not here to fight you. And these drones, they are programmed to ignore anybody who has this badge on. But I'm here to let you know that Mayor Fisk, he has us going after some kids. Now Rhino, he is all about trying to do what is right, at least these days. He is trying to go on the straight and narrow. And an opportunity to wear a badge and stop crime, he couldn't pass that up. But after Mayor Fisk had given them this new mission on taking down innocent children, that's something that he had to inform some legitimate heroes about and have them help him stop it. And so our Spider-Man headed back and letting them know, letting Captain America, She-Hulk, and all of our other heroes that are currently bunkered down, that Wilson Fisk is targeting the children of the Purple Man. Now at this point, this is where we see Jessica Jones. She is just done. They have been in hiding for all of this time, not able to do anything, not able to help anyone, and now Mayor Fisk is targeting children. And so with her finally hitting her breaking point, she says that she is going after anybody who is going after those children. That anyone is allowed to tag along, but if they stand in her way, she will punch a hole right through them. And so picking up a little bit later on that evening, we have Mayor Fisk, and he is sitting down with Typhoid Mary. And Wilson Fisk, he really is asking himself, why can he not stop holding on to things that cause him so much pain? His hatred, his position, consumed by power and revenge. He knows who he is. He is very self-aware of the person that he has become. But he also has Mary, something that gives him some kind of peace in this world. But the issue is, Mary, she misses some of her memories. Not being able to remember time they had spent together. This is something that Fisk just wished that she could remember. Remembering the great time that they have had together. Those romantic and intimate moments that just simply can't be replaced. And with him having his cane in his hand, saying that I wish you could remember, in an instant, we see Mary remember all of those forgotten memories. And this is something that Wilson Fisk, he had no idea that the cane was even capable of doing. But recognizing the capability of what it can do, he tells Mary that he needs to go get some air. Headed up to the rooftop, he walks out into the pouring rain. Going out there and dropping down to his knees, he grabs hold of his cane. Looking at that purple diamond, he says, remember. And this is where Wilson Fisk, he remembers what was taken from him. He remembers the name. He knows who Daredevil is. And whispering under his breath, he says, Matt Murdock. Alright gang, so with this issue we are picking up with John Walker walking into the office of Kingpin, going up to Wilson Fisk and letting him know that he is here to work, with Fisk letting everyone know that they need to get out of the room. Fisk wants to know why he is here, because the truth is, he is not looking for more help. He didn't even ask for more help. And so the question is, why are you in this city? Are you sent by the feds? Could it be the DA or maybe even someone else? But Walker lets him know that he came here on his own, noticing that he was going to need help. That is why he arrived. Because the truth is, Fisk is going to have a very hard time keeping a leash on these Thunderbolts, especially if he is not out in the field with them. These guys are all mostly hardened criminals. They don't take well to authority, and if you leave them unchecked, we are gonna have the populace turning against us, turning against the Thunderbolts. And so you need someone, a leader, who is going to lead these guys and ensure that they live up to what you are saying they are. And so John Walker, he is proposing that he will keep the leash on the Thunderbolts. He will get things done, and he will ensure that order is kept in this city. And so on the spot, Fisk, he hires John Walker. And that is what's going to take us to a little bit later on. With some criminals breaking into a diamond store, this robbery is stopped by the Thunderbolts. And with them stopping the robbers, we see Elektra. She stops to look at these diamonds, only to end up getting a shield directly in the back. with US Agent knowing her intentions, knowing that she was more than willing to pocket those diamonds. US Agent is here to keep everyone in check. Now, at this point, the rest of the Thunderbolts, they are wondering, like, who the heck is this guy? Who are you to try to tell us what to do? With all of them saying, why should we listen to you? Because at the end of the day, you're a wannabe Captain America. And so we see US Agent versus the Thunderbolts. And the Thunderbolts, they had no chance against John Walker, letting them know that they are drifting from their mission statement. The mayor has told them what they are supposed to do, and so if they are not going to keep themselves in check, US Agent is going to ensure that that is done. That there is no more bending the law to fill your pockets. That from now on, you are the law and you are going to act like it. With US Agent beating the heck out of all of the Thunderbolts, he lets them know that tomorrow you are my team. And as John Walker begins to go home, walking down an alleyway, he is beginning to question why he is doing any of this, believing that maybe it's just all pointless. Because right now he doesn't have enough evidence to shut down Wilson Fisk. Honestly, they barely have enough evidence to give him a slap on the wrist. But he is working with the FBI, and they want any kind of information on the Purple Children because they know somehow he is manipulating things. They know that he is using either the Purple Man or the Purple Children to ensure that his laws and his will is passed. With the FBI even putting a wire on US Agent. Unfortunately, that was never gonna work. Especially when you have someone like Elektra around. Not really sure what his next course of action is going to be, thinking maybe the Thunderbolts are gonna get in his way. But Wilson Fisk, tomorrow he has a big campaign rally, and so we're gonna see what happens then. And that is what takes us to the rally, with Wilson Fisk beginning to give his speech, letting the people know that he is going to make the city safer, all of that politician jargon. But while he is giving this speech, with our Thunderbolts doing their patrols around the rally, someone inside the rally, someone in this crowd, they are touching people, and we are seeing them corrupted. And eventually, the corrupted individuals, they turn into an entire mob of people. And this mob, they start ambushing the crowd. US Agent kicking it into high gear, he jumps into the crowd. He jumps in to take these guys on. Looking into their eyes, he sees nothing but black. With the crowd swarming US Agent, this is where we see Rhino come to the rescue, knocking these people away like freaking bowling pins. US Agent jumps on Rhino's back and jumps back into the fight. Up on the stage, Wilson Fisk is trying to figure out what the heck is happening as he tries to use his staff to control these people. It simply does not work. And as US Agent looks around, he is trying to figure out the source of this problem. Looking behind him, he sees a purple woman with black eyes, asking who the heck she is. She is the one who is turning all of these people into drones. And as Elektra jumps into the fray, she also gets touched. With her eyes turning black, she begins to charge up and she lets out a huge electrical blast. With Rhino coming in at the last second and putting her on the ground before too many people are hurt. John Walker sitting up trying to figure out what the heck just happened. We have our Thunderbolts standing around Elektra, with her laying on the ground. They are not sure if she is dead or alive. Alright guys, so as we get into this issue, this series is beginning to close out, and we have all out freaking war in this one, with Wilson Fisk getting his memories back, with all of it come flooding in. He remembers the name Matthew Murdock. He remembers everything that has been taken from him, every victory, every memory, consuming his mind. He can think of nothing else but Matt Murdock. Being interrupted, that is because his Thunderbolts, they have found the location of the Purple Man's children. Hunting these children down, they want to use them, steal their power, give it to their father, so he can make a bigger influence over the city. That way he can ensure that everyone will vote for him. Picking up in a small apartment, we have the Purple Children, and we have the old lady who was just really nice enough to the kids to bring them home and let them have something to eat. But they're not here long before U.S. Agent, he comes knocking on the door, leading the Thunderbolts, though we know this is all undercover work for him. What he is truly trying to do is nail Wilson Fisk to the wall, trying to find some kind of concrete evidence that they can put him away. But for the time being, he has to play the role. He has to be the villain, and he has to make this believable. And the Purple Man's children, they want to put up a fight. The only thing about this is, the rest of the Thunderbolts, they're on the outside. Elektra, she uses her powers, and she shocks the crap out of all of them, putting them down like a stun gun. We see them escorted outside, with all of the children being put under arrest and thrown into military-style Humvees. We see the arrival of the champions. Led by Jessica Jones, they have come to put a stop to whatever the heck is going on right now. With the champions' main objective is trying to save these children, grabbing them one at a time, doing their best effort to try and save them. And though the champions and Jessica Jones, they think they have the upper hand, that is until we have the arrival of Abomination, with him being recruited into the Thunderbolts. This is all because Wilson Fisk has information that he needs. And for this reason and this reason alone, he is more than willing to make sure the law is enacted, or at least the law that Wilson Fisk wants enacted. Not being able to save all of the children, we see the champions, they have to retreat. Grabbing Jessica Jones, they swing out of here. Of course, Jessica not wanting to leave any of them behind, they don't have a choice. With Dr. Octavius's drones filling the streets, stopping all of the crime, they came swarming in on this situation. You add Abomination into the mix, and the champions, Jessica Jones, they stood no chance. Bringing us to the office of Butch. Butch being the new kingpin, the son of Wilson Fisk. He had just got done with a meeting when Mike Murdock walks into the room, and Mike knows exactly what this meeting was about. This meeting was about killing Wilson Fisk, taking out the mayor. He is causing so much problems with Dr. Octavius's drones filling the sky, stopping crime all around the city. Illegal crime, illegal business. Butch's business is down 80%. And so the new kingpin, he believes that he has no other choice than to take out the source of the problem. Mike truly wanting to help him, to try and save him. He reveals to him the Norn Stone, not really sure how to use it, not really sure anything about it, telling him they'll need to get some kind of instruction manual, but he believes that this could turn the tide without having any true bloodlust, because Butch and Mike both agree that we were gonna do it different. We weren't gonna be like his father, that we weren't gonna leave a trail of bodies in our wake. Butch not wanting to hear anything about magical stones or superheroes or capes or anything of that nature, completely dismissing him. We see Butch walk out of the room, and the only thing Mike is trying to do here is the right thing. He is trying to make sure that nobody has to die, and he also wants to save Butch. He wants to protect him and make sure that nothing happens to him. Taking us to Mayor Fisk's little hidden laboratory, we see the Purple Man. He is chained up, he is being siphoned off. They are using him to control the populace. Now having the majority of his children, they have drained them of their power, and they are giving that power to him. With his mission finally complete, Wilson Fisk, he doesn't really care about being mayor anymore. He doesn't care about the votes anymore. Ever since he got his memories back, he has had one thing on his mind, and that is Matt Murdock, trying to tell Doc Ock that he has no need for him. Lucky for him, he has blockers in his mind, so Wilson Fisk can't control him. However, our Hulk Octavius, he does not have blockers. Using his staff, he is able to control the mind of Hulk Octavius, taking Doc Ock and smashing him out through the building, believing that this is going to take care of Doc Ock and take him off of the board. Mayor Fisk now has a new plan, releasing the Purple Man and having him under Wilson Fisk's control. He gives him an objective, and he lets him know that you need to go out there and you need to kill every single hero. He tells Kilgrave to burn it all down to the ground, to kill every last single one of them, anyone that has ever stopped them from trying to reach their true potential. He is going to go kill Matt Murdock, and he wants him to know that every hero's death it is going to be because of him. Taking us to what remains of our Avengers inside of New York City, currently in their hideout. Jessica Jones returning from the attack that they took, telling Luke Cage that Abomination has joined the side of the Thunderbolts. This is a very important factor because it really does change things. It changes the playing field. Adding players like Abomination to the roster, it makes everything 100 times more harder for our heroes. The question now that is on all of their minds is, what do we do next? The Purple Man's children, they tell Luke Cage, they tell Daredevil, they tell them all that you need to kill my dad. That is the only way that you can stop all of this from happening. If you kill him, you take away his power, you take away the mayor's power, and they no longer have control over the people. Daredevil taking a knee and letting him know that that's not what we do. That is what makes us heroes. We don't kill them, we stop them. We save lives, we don't take them. Promising that they will stop Fisk, they will stop his father before things get out of hand. Daredevil gets a phone call from Kristen, and right now downtown, it is an absolute war zone. Dr. Octavius and all of his other Octaviuses, they join up with him. We see all of the drones coming in, with Doc Ock not really understanding what is going on with the mayor, believing that he has completely lost it at this point. We see the Thunderbolts, they begin charging at Doc Ock and all of his variants. But US Agent is letting him know that their fight is not with him, telling him to stand to the side. We see what is remaining of the Avengers. They make their arrival on the battlefield, and this is where all war breaks out. And the Avengers' primary objective is to find the Purple Man. If they can shut down the Purple Man, they may be able to stop all of this. Because in the open, in an all-out battle like this, with a Hulk Octavius, with Abomination, with a Ghost Rider Octavius, all of these individuals stacked against you, our Avengers, our champions, they can only hold out for so long. And just when they thought things couldn't get any worse, we see Purple Man come onto the scene. With him showing up, he is not doing this alone. He is showing up with the entire city under his control, with these innocent civilians charging in with nothing but hate and aggression in their eyes. There seems to be no hope for our heroes. Taking us to the apartment of Daredevil, we have Mike showing up here because he has come to get the stone. Regardless of what Butch had said, he is hoping this stone is going to be able to change things, to stop anybody from dying and protect the people that he cares about. Hoping that he can take this stone to someone like Doctor Strange. What Mike doesn't know, what he doesn't see, is the shadow lingering in the background. The silhouette of a giant monstrous individual. The silhouette of Wilson Fisk, with Matt Murdock on his mind, with murder on his mind. He has come here to kill the Daredevil, grabbing Mike and smashing him through walls, smashing him into the floor, telling him that it is all over. There is no need to pretend any longer. He knows the truth. He has his memories. And now he is going to do what he should have done years ago, pummeling Mike into a bloody pulp. He lies there on the ground looking lifeless. Alright gang, so as we dive into this final issue, we are picking up with Elektra and Matt Murdock, currently in their bed right after Elektra had told him the truth, that she worked for the Hand, and that her job was to recruit him. That is, until she fell in love. And instead of being met with anger, instead of being met with hostility, Matt Murdock forgave her. And though she believes that he is a fool for doing so, she can't help but love him more. That kind of kindness, that kind of forgiveness, it's something that she's not used to. It's something delicate, something fragile, and something that she will do anything to protect now. But that's what's going to bring us to current time. In the middle of an open freaking field, we have Elektra and Kraven the Hunter going at one another. Off to the side, we have Thunderbolt guards alongside Goldie, holding him hostage so that Elektra will continue to play along. And as everyone watches from the sidelines, two of the greatest fighters to ever exist are currently going toe-to-toe, with both of them being extremely skilled. It's just going to take one mistake, one slip-up, and the other one gets the upper hand. That mistake, it comes from Elektra. With her slipping up, Kraven the Hunter is able to get a punch on her, one that is strong enough to knock her to the ground. And as Kraven goes in to finish this fight, Goldie throws a snowball at the back of his head, distracting Kraven just for a second, giving Elektra the opportunity to kick him in the face and make a run for it. And the reason she is making a run for it is because she is finally accepting that she's not Matt Murdock. She may pretend to be Daredevil, but at the end of the day, that's not who she is. She is Elektra. She is an assassin. She has hunted some of the best targets across the globe, and when she couldn't find them, she drew them out, realizing that she has been going about this all the wrong way. Because no matter her training, no matter the training of Matt Murdock, at the end of the day, their fighting styles are so vastly different. Matt Murdock, at his very core, he is a boxer. He is a brawler. But Elektra, she is a ninja. She is an assassin, and her best game, it is played in the shadows. And so in the building, in this darkness, Kraven the Hunter, he is hunting his prey. Little does he know that he is not the predator. Not in this building, not in these shadows. Elektra has the upper hand, and using the darkness, using his ego against him, Elektra gets the upper hand. Using all of these things to her advantage, she goes in on Kraven the Hunter, and man does she give it to him. She pummels him until Kraven the Hunter is knocked out cold. With him knocked out, this is where we see Akka, her ally, or once upon a time ally, that is inside of the hand. And this conversation, while it is relatively quick, what Elektra is letting her know is that she has every intention of bringing back the fist, the one sworn enemy of the hand. With this challenge against her being accepted, they go their separate ways. Kraven the Hunter and Akka both disappear in a flash. And with Thunderbolts directly outside, Elektra, she grabs a disguise. She makes her way outside of this school, and she goes up to find Goldie. And though Goldie, he is now safe and he is free from the Thunderbolts, he has tears coming from his face. And that is because he just got a phone call saying that Matthew Murdock, he was found dead in his apartment. Elektra, hearing this news, brought back to a moment where Daredevil and Elektra are fighting on top of a building. The fighting eventually turns into a kiss, but she can't help but think about that moment. Think about his embrace. Think about their love together. But hearing this news, the sadness passes over her and it turns directly to anger, with a little bit of denial, thinking maybe it's Matthew's brother. Maybe it's not Matt. Maybe it could be somebody else. But she knows more than anything that Mayor Fisk is responsible for everything that has transpired. All she can feel is the bloodlust, the want for vengeance, letting Goldie know that she is going to go murder the mayor, because the only person that was actually going to be able to stop her, she was just told, died. And so now, nothing stands in her way from being the assassin known as Elektra. Taking us 2 weeks later, we are picking up with Akka and one of the archpriestess of the hand. And the archpriestess is letting her know that her obsession with Elektra is really getting everything off topic. You're not focusing on our overall goal. Your obsession with this girl, it's gone too far. But she believed that Elektra could truly be the key to them taking over everything. The archpriestess, on the other hand, she has someone else in mind. Someone that is going to bring the beast throughout the world. That somebody is Frank Castle. Alright gang, so as we dive into the final issue, we are picking up at the event that Wilson Fisk had, having a rally trying to win his election. Someone in the crowd touched a bunch of people and we saw that they were corrupted. Having our Thunderbolts jump into action, we see Elektra gets touched. she gets corrupted and she almost goes nuclear, hurting a bunch of civilians in this crowd. This has gone completely sideways, with Rhino grabbing Elektra and getting her out of here. US Agent is trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Meanwhile, Wilson Fisk, he's making his escape. He's getting out of here. With all of these cameras, all of this craziness, this looks bad on him, and he really lays into US Agent, telling him that it is his job to keep the Thunderbolts in check. And now that they have all of this bad press, it's not helping anyone, telling US Agent that he needs to clean up this mess and he needs to do it quickly. While he helps the firefighters trying to put out this fire, he can't help but think, at once upon a time he believed in the system, but right now that system, it has a cancer in it. It has a tumor that needs to be cut away, and that is Fisk. With the mayor currently manipulating and corrupting everything, US Agent is doing his best just to try to keep people safe in the wake of his destruction. But while they sit here and rescue and save as many people as possible, putting out these fires, this is where we see corruption not being done yet and coming back for more. She touches these firefighters, they become corrupted, and they go after Agony and US Agent. With US Agent taking the firefighters, Agony takes the fight to corruption. And we learned that she was kidnapped by Wilson Fisk. She had been experimented on at Ravencroft. What he was trying to do was reproduce the Purple Man's abilities. And in some kind of way, that actually happened. All she needs is a singular touch, and she can take control of you. Reaching out and touching Agony, we see the corruption spread through this symbiote. Lucky for Agony, this symbiote is able to purify its body of this poison. But while Agony is trying to purge her body, this is where we see US Agent jump in, and he gets touched. This gives corruption the opportunity to make an escape, and that is because Agony is trying to purge US Agent. Using her symbiote, she is trying to use it to cleanse him. Not really sure if this is going to work, but it does. Able to cleanse his bloodstream, he is free from the corruption. And after learning all of this information, he heads back to Mayor Fisk, and he lets him know that it's time they have a real heart-to-heart. Because at this point, there's experiments, civilians are getting hurt, there is a path of destruction in his wake, and US Agent is tired of it. Rhino is tired of it, and they're ready to call it quits. What pushes Rhino over the edge is their talk about trying to find these purple children and bring them to Fisk. That is a line that Rhino simply won't cross. US Agent is also opposed to it, but this is where Fisk, he uses the staff and he is able to control him, telling Walker that he is going to do exactly what he says. US Agent replies with "Yes, sir." And though Rhino may be off this team, Fisk had someone else in mind anyway. A new muscle that is really going to bring the fight to New York. That muscle being Abomination. With the Thunderbolts being 100% compliant, he sends them knocking door to door until they find the purple children, tracking them down at whatever cost. It's only a matter of time before our Thunderbolts find the location of the purple children. And we saw this unfolding in Devil's Reign issue number 5. With US Agent under the control of Mayor Fisk, the Thunderbolts, they break down the door and they kidnap these children as they guide them outside and begin loading them into vehicles, with our heroes showing up on site just like they did in issue number 5 of Devil's Reign. Alright gang, so as we dive into this last issue, we are picking up with a drop of blood being dropped into the dirt. And usually this would mean absolutely nothing. It would mean that you bled on the ground and it's over with. The only exception, Dr. Octavius, he used this drop of blood like a seed. And what we see created from it is the inferior Octavius. With this inferior being making its way throughout the multiverse, it is searching for something. It is searching for some kind of help, trying to find the consciousness of Dr. Octavius. And that is what brings it to the Supreme Sectorium. It found its way here because this is where Dr. Octavius is. After the Supreme Octopus had ripped off his arms, he imprisoned him, with this inferior being coming and rescuing him, breaking him free of his shackles. Dr. Octavius doesn't know what to think about this thing, recognizing that it looks a lot like Man-Thing, but at the same time, it listens and hears and reacts to the name Otto Octavius. This is where Doc Ock finally realizes that this is in fact him. This is the variant of Otto Octavius. And under normal circumstances, Dr. Octavius, he would honestly never mess with something that is so inferior to his own. But right now, he needs to strike a bargain. He needs to find a way to take down Supreme Octopus. And that takes us to the study of the Supreme. With the other three variants in his office, he is explaining to them that he needs them for what comes next. Shredding himself of his armor, trying to show that he is not a threat to them, that he has no intention of hurting them. In fact, he actually wants their help. And that is because all of their meddling has led to their lives all being entangled. And so if one of them are killed, it could possibly change all of them. Doing a proper introduction, he introduces himself as Otto Warren Von Strange. And he is the last remaining variant from a long and tireless war. And since that war has ended, he has maintained balance within inside their multiversal existence. But this position, it requires an heir, or heir. And the first time I read through this, I immediately thought of the TV show Loki. This is almost identical to what Kane the Conqueror had offered Loki and his variants. So in that terms, it's a little bit disappointing that this is just rehashing a literal TV show that was on not even that long ago. But as he walks through the facility, showing them everything to offer, letting them know that they have all done this before. Another Otto once razzed through the entirety of the multiverse, killing millions, siphoning minds, swapping bodies, the usual when it comes to Otto. But the Supreme Octopus, he is the one that put a stop to him. Not necessarily killing him, but stopping him, and now having an army of his own Octaviuses. He did this through technology and magic. He used the technology to defraud the Octavius that came to his world and tried enslaving everybody. And magic, he used magic to take everything else. And now this Earth is prospering. He eradicated all disease. He ended global conflicts, provided universal education, and abolished world hunger. He has truly built what he calls a paradise. Meanwhile, inside the cells, we have the Man-Thing and Dr. Octavius. And Dr. Octavius wants to strike a deal. With him no longer having his robotic arms, he needs a little bit extra help, asking the Man-Thing variant, will you help me? Will you help me kill the Supreme? And the Man-Thing, it doesn't speak, so it can't give him a direct answer. What it does do is it goes over to him, it climbs onto him, and it attaches himself to where his arms would be in the first place. Man-Thing attaches himself and makes him the arms of Dr. Octavius. And so with them bonded together, the Man-Thing variant, he wants something in return. Dr. Octavius swearing that whatever he wants, he will have after the Supreme has been taken out. And picking up with our other variants and the Supreme, he is letting them know that after the war, he began holding the delicate position of non-interference. And he has now come to believe that this new cycle, all of this craziness that is now happening, is because he did not interfere anymore. But he wants these variants all to stay here. He wants their help in keeping all of the Octaviuses in all of existence in check. Because this is something that Dr. Octavius, in any form, in any variant, will always try to accomplish. They will always try to get into the multiverse. They will always try to take things over. Our Supreme wants to let them know that he is saving them from themselves. That once they are able to see the multiverse, once they see everything that he has to show them, they will truly understand why this is a necessity. For example, Earth 7214, the outcome from meddling manifestations. Otto Octavius is born an Atlantean, fated to create a bioweapon that eradicates water from the multiverse. Because of this, the Supreme, he sunk Atlantis on this Earth, but he also lets the three variants know that each of you on your own Earth, you will cause some kind of destruction, letting the Hulk variant know that while he may be able to take care of the radiation bomb he will create to get his humanity back, but in doing so, he will kill millions. He lets Ghost Rider Rider know that while you sit here and say you are vengeance, you call yourself the superior Ghost Rider, you still fail to enact vengeance on a societal scale. The world is literally falling apart and you do nothing to stop it. And then when it comes to Wolverine, he will just simply kill everybody using the Crimson Bands. He lets all of the variants know that what you guys have done, what you will do, it is too much and you need to be reset. He wants all of the variants to turn to their original form, and what seemed like a job offer has quickly turned into a full-on lobotomy of all three variants. With them wrapped up in the Crimson Bands, it looked like it might be too late for them until we have the arrival of Octavius and his Man-Thing arm. Recognizing that Otto was able to escape, the Supreme lets him know that if you will simply stop all of this meddling, I will remake you into the superior Spider-Man, letting him know that it was him whispering in his ear, luring him to erase his greatest accomplishment. It was Supreme who taught him how to summon Mephisto, and so the Spider-Sense, the suit, the glory, he lets him know that he can give it all back to him. But Otto has not come here to strike a bargain. He has come here with one thing in mind, and that is to take out the Supreme. And Otto isn't looking for magic. He's not looking for sorcery. Mixing his blood with the soil of the Gutted Gulch in Earth 5069. That is exactly how this Man-Thing variant was created. This was his multiversal contingency plan. With the Supreme recognizing that this is going to be a fight, we see his armor come flying in. Floating behind him, he tells his armor to compress around him. With his pseudo armor now on, this is where the real fight begins. With Supreme having Octavius completely wrapped up, we see the Hulk and the other variants, they are able to break out of the bands. And in doing so, they catch the Supreme off guard. Ghost Rider using Hellfire to weaken the armor of Supreme. We see the Hulk punch him, trying to smash through the armor and weaken it even more. Wolverine makes his attack, and Dr. Octavius, he goes in for the killing blow, with one of Man-Thing's arms piercing the skull of Supreme Octopus. Though he appears to still be alive, he is completely taken out of the fight. And I really think they're going on the idea that Supreme Octopus, his hubris was so big, his ego was so large, that he didn't see it coming. Using Man-Thing, which isn't technology or anything of that nature, which Supreme Octopus appeared to believe that that's what Doc Ock was using. It's kind of weird, they kind of really just jumped into that. But we'll dive more into that at the end of the issue. With Supreme Octopus now on the ground, they have to ask what to do now. Now we have no way of opening up a portal, we have no way of getting back to our Earth. With Doc Ock introducing all of the variants to the new variant, the Man-Thing Ock. Man-Thing going over to the Supreme, attaching himself to him, using whatever bit of magic is remaining inside of him currently. We see him open up a portal. This portal is taking them all back to the Baxter building. Dr. Octavius, he goes to build some new arms, while all of the variants, they fix the teleporter. And per Dr. Octavius's agreement with the Man-Thing variant, it is now time for him to hold up his end of the bargain. With the teleporter now fixed, they walk into it, and he brings him to some kind of location. He doesn't disclose this location to any of the other variants, saying that it is better none of them know where this guy is. Returning the Man-Thing variant, he comes back through the portal, knowing that one day Supreme may be able to recover and come back for revenge. Recognizing that there is no more room for error, it is time for him to think bigger. And so he makes a proposal to the other variants, wanting their help of ridding New York City of all the crime. He wants to prove that the Superior Four are better than any of the wretched heroes who police this world. And the four of them united, they will serve as judge, jury, and executioner. And with their help, Dr. Octavius swears to each of them that he will help them in some way. Help the Hulk de-evolve back into his normal self. Dr. Octavius willing to go with Ghost Rider down into hell, retrieve his soul, and find out what really happened to his mind. And Wolverine, this planet, this Earth, 616 has Krakoa. Him being a mutant, he will be able to go in there. And with a nomadic matter of weeks, they will wield untold international influence. So while the Superior Four, they head out to the streets and they get to work, we are taken to Fresh Franz City. This is Earth 2902. We have the Man-Thing variant, but it's turned into something else. It is turned into something new. That something new is Spider-Man. And as this Man-Thing Spider-Man begins to think to itself, thinking that maybe it was wrong to provoke the multiverse, that maybe it wasn't ready to be out here. Not sure if this radically change its destiny or not. It knows that it is not superior enough to cease the loop, and at least for the time being, it will only be making calculated risks, with the people seeing that Spider-Man has some kind of new look. Alright gang, so as we dive into this epic conclusion, we are picking up with Union Jack having Emma Frost under arrest. Bringing her into the police station, he lets her know that this really isn't anything personal. The X-Men have always been good to him, but he has to uphold the laws he is told to enforce. With a warrant going out for the arrest of Emma Frost, he had no other choice but to do this. But as they arrive at the precinct, this is where Emma Frost finds out something very interesting. With a police officer coming over to put a power dampening collar on her neck, he doesn't have side blockers. With Emma Frost reaching out with her mind, what she learns is that half of the rank and file in this precinct, they either think that telepathy is a myth, or they think that the side dampeners really cause cancer. Not only that, there are some German shepherds nearby that she is able to take control of. And in a matter of seconds, this place is going crazy. Those individuals that don't have side dampeners on, they are attacking those that do. The German shepherds, they are attacking police officers. This is all out pandemonium. And Emma Frost is having the best time with this, making some of these police officers carry her out of here. This is an absolute cakewalk for her. She is able to walk directly out of this place with her own police escort. And so while Union Jack is trying to get everyone under control, Emma Frost has already made her getaway with both of their German shepherds. And so Emma decides to head back to the Hellfire Club, because now her goal is to find Isabel, the whole reason that she came here to begin with. She needs Isabel so she can prove that Emma Frost didn't murder her or kidnap her or whatever Mayor Fisk is trying to speculate at. Coming into the Hellfire Club, this is where she runs into Isabel, because Isabel saw her on the news, assumed that Emma Frost came here for some kind of help, with Emma Frost filling her in on everything currently going on, saying that she just needs her to come back to America, to come back to New York City for a little bit of time, prove that you're alive, and then I will take you anywhere you want to go. And that includes Krakoa. But Emma also apologizes to her, saying that she never wanted to drag her into any of. The only reason she got mixed up in any of this is because she witnessed Elektra doing a murder for Wilson Fisk. Needing to get her out of the city, get her somewhere safe, they sent her to the country with horses where she could live out her wildest dreams. What we learn about Isabel is that when she was there, one summer Elektra came to see her, came to see how she was doing, but also to train her how to fight, training her for an entire summer. This woman is no defenseless little girl any longer. And so with Emma Frost making her apology, she lets her know that there are going to be individuals that are about to break down the door. So prove to me what skills you have while I go sort out this mess. With Emma Frost going upstairs to get them a way out of here, we see Isabel hold them off. With them breaking down the front door, Union Jack coming in through the window, Isabel is 100% out of her league, and she quickly recognizes this, pulling out a knife and stabbing one of them right in the thigh. This guy is going to bleed out unless Union Jack helps him. This gives her the opportunity to make her escape. Heading upstairs to Emma Frost, this is where we see the two of them, they go through a gateway. Getting to safety on Krakoa, Isabel looks around and quickly recognizes this is a place she doesn't want to be. and that's because she's a city person. She loves the concrete jungle, and she wants nothing to do with this lavish land that stands before her. But after a spa day and a little bit of time, Isabel makes her appearance, and everything that Wilson Fisk has been saying, it gets put under question now. While Isabel may have returned, Wilson Fisk is still raising questions about everything else going on. Because while she may be clear of murder, there are still many other charges that are under observation. And so Emma Frost, she heads off to her lawyers. Starting off with the good news, she is no longer being accused of murder. Being clear of those charges, it really does lighten the load a little bit. But the bad news, it is really bad news. Because her financial misdeeds, those allegations are still under investigation. Sue Storm did have her identity faked, and a substantial loan had been granted to her. Once the mistakes had been realized, an investigation had been launched, and eventually the insurance had paid out. Now that insurance company is going to be coming after Emma Frost for that money. And so until this matter is settled, there is a warrant out for her arrest in many countries that don't recognize Krakoan amnesty deals. With Emma Frost remaining silent just for a moment, she tells them to instruct the finance teams to begin buying stocks of this insurance company, believing that if they can buy enough stock, she can get a majority share in the company, and she's not gonna owe a company money if she owns the company. Saying goodbye to her lawyers and letting them know that she is not gonna be returning for quite some time, but she has one more thing to do before she leaves the city. And that's what takes us to the house of Wilson Fisk, with the mayor waking up having Mary holding a knife directly to his throat. And Mary is under the control of Emma Frost. And Fisk quickly recognizes that she has to be close by. If she is able to control her with such effectiveness, then she has to be near. And the truth is, Emma Frost is right there in the room, telling the former Kingpin that one day she is going to ask him a question. That question may come many, many years from now. It could happen weeks from now. But when she does ask, she wants him to answer honestly. Of course, that's assuming that he survives all of the chaos he has created in New York City. Emma Frost is not one to doubt him, because she has seen the odds stacked against him time and time again, and somehow he always comes out on top. But the question that she wants answers to, the question that she is going to ask, was it worth crossing me? Because one day, everything is gonna come to a head. Emma Frost could be anyone around him, anyone at any time. He would never see it coming. And while she had been employed with him, she learned what patience meant. And so if he manages to wiggle free from this Devil's Reign fiasco, if he manages to somehow stay out of jail and stay alive, Emma Frost is still going to be there, gunning for him, waiting for the day that she slits his throat. Alright gang, so as we jump into the finale, we are jumping into all-out chaos. With Doc Ock and all of his variants as well as his minion robots, they have made their attack alongside the Thunderbolts. The Avengers, Daredevil, all of them are trying to take these guys on. Amidst all of the fray, this is where Daredevil gets a communication. Kristen McDuffie has chimed in to let him know that there has been a murder. Wilson Fisk has killed your brother. Matt Murdock is now dead. With Daredevil hearing this news, he absolutely loses it. With Daredevil making his exit from the battlefield, everyone else is still trying to hold on the best they can. The biggest problem with this is the Purple Man. He is commanding a good majority of this city. So it's not just Dr. Octavius, it's not just the Thunderbolts. It is everybody descending down on them. Their only hope at this point is to shut down the Purple Man. Taking us to the apartment of Wilson Fisk, we pick up with him and Mary, and he's letting her know that they gotta go. That it is finally all over. The blood on his shirt, it belongs to Daredevil. The wolves are now closing in. This city is falling apart. Everything that he has ever wanted is standing right in front of him. As long as he has Mary, he doesn't need anything else. Feeling like a fool that it took him this long to recognize it. Unfortunately for this couple, the getaway is not going to be that easy. As they go to drive off, this is where we see Daredevil, aka Elektra. After hearing the news that quote-unquote Matt Murdock had been murdered, she never confirmed this, even thinking to herself that it could be his brother. But she is finally ready to do exactly what needs to be done, letting Fisk live after all of these years. It has been one of the biggest mistakes that she feels she has ever made, as Elektra walks up to the wreckage. This is where we have Daredevil come on scene, letting Elektra know that if anybody is going to kill Wilson Fisk, it is gonna be me. As our mayor looks at Daredevil, he is in absolute disbelief, not being able to figure out why Daredevil just won't die. He charges full speed ahead, taking us back to the battleground. We have Iron Man taking out Dr. Octavius. And it was relatively easy. Doc Ock doesn't have any armor, so Iron Man flying in and knocking him out, it works super quick. Coming on scene, we have the Fantastic Four, we have Moon Knight. These are all the individuals that had been locked up in prison, but are now free. While Invisible Woman holds off this mass crowd that is gathering because of the Purple Man, trying to ensure that no civilians get hurt in this fight. This is where we see Joseph. He is one of the children of the Purple Man. Seeing all of the chaos, all of this destruction, he is ready to go have a conversation with his father. On the other side of town, we have Wilson Fisk and Daredevil going toe-to-toe, with Wilson Fisk really gathering the upper hand. Daredevil is emotional. He is fighting with rage and anger, and he is not focusing. He is being really sloppy, and Fisk is getting the upper hand. As Elektra is currently going toe-to-toe with Typhoid Mary, we see Daredevil just getting beat to a pulp, with Daredevil currently on the ground bleeding out, trying to get to his feet. We are taken back to the battlefield, right to the very center where the Purple Man has been residing. As Joseph approaches, he has to ask, "Where are my brothers and sisters?" He informs them that they are all dead. Every single one of them. He has taken their power, and now he plans to take his. Off in the distance, we see Luke Cage making his way over here, with Daredevil looking very defeated. Inside of the vehicle, he grabs a staff. The cane of Wilson Fisk, the one he has been using to mind control people. Grabbing hold of this and being able to use it on Fisk, he wants to make him suffer for every single sin that he has ever committed. He wants him to think about every life he has destroyed, every life that he has taken. Daredevil, knowing what needs to be done, grabbing that staff and slamming it right across his face. He knows that Wilson Fisk needs to die. As Daredevil is beginning to see red, he is smashing in the face of Wilson Fisk. We are seeing at the same time that Joseph is going against his father. Their two powers clashing together. Luke Cage trying to hold off the Purple Man as long as he can, giving Joseph the opportunity to really charge up and try to fight back. With Kilgrave just being done with all of this, he commands Luke Cage to kill the boy, while Cage fights this with everything he has. Joseph has tears in his eyes, believing that he can't do this by himself. Daredevil, taking one of Elektra's sides, he is about to impale Wilson Fisk. Elektra stops him, and she lets him know that you can go ahead and do this, because if anybody truly deserves it, it is him. But just remember, you're not an assassin. For some idiotic reason, you put on that mask, you decided to be a symbol, and right now, the world is watching you. What kind of symbol do you want to be? What kind of man do you strive to become? With Daredevil standing down, we see Joseph take on the Purple Man and win, with the help and the encouragement of Luke Cage. This battle comes to an end. With everybody coming out of this mind control, they all run in opposite directions, trying to make their escape. Our Avengers and everybody else are scooping them up and throwing power dampening collars on those that try to run away. Everybody and anybody who has been working for Fisk has been a Thunderbolt, so on and so forth. With Mayor Fisk being defeated, with the Purple Man currently unconscious, Joseph learns that his brothers and sisters, they are in fact alive. With the day now being won, we have Wilson Fisk who is being toted off. As we go into the back of this transport, we see that the guards are in fact Butch and one of his guys. They have hijacked this transport and they are taking it to a very specific location, taking us to the House of the Stormwinds. These are the ones that have been manipulating everything, the ones that have true power and true control. They are offering Fisk an opportunity to not go to jail. In fact, what they are offering is for him to become president. Of course, there is only one catch to this. Wilson Fisk has to be a puppet. They will be in true control. As Wilson Fisk begins to think to himself, what would my son believe if I became president? How would he look at me? Would it command respect? Would he have no other option but to give me respect? Running the greatest country in the entire world, why not? On the other hand, he's made plenty of mistakes, and he is not going to make yet another one, making this a teachable moment for Butch. A Fisk bows to no man. Wilson Fisk, he lets loose. Taking on the guards, taking on these two. He makes quick work of all of them. Butch jumps in for a second and he asks, what are we doing? But he already knows. At the end of the day, you are a Fisk. And though he may not have ever been there for him, this is what he is going to do. This is his inheritance. He tells him to tell the world Butch killed Wilson Fisk, that he murdered Matt Murdock, and Butch rose up against him. This will give him absolute reign as the new king. And for Butch, this is the first time that he has heard Matt Murdock has been murdered, that his father did it, and he knows that it was Mike. This was the cost. Mike Murdock tried to tell him, tried to let him know, and in the end, it cost him his life. Taking us 1 week later, picking up with Elektra and Daredevil. Daredevil is ready to level up after everything they have been through. The world believing that Matt Murdock is currently dead. His alter ego is no longer a viable option. He is ready to start thinking bigger though. And that starts with the Fist. He is ready to start the organization back up again, hand in hand with Elektra. And this is just the beginning of what he wants to do. He has plans to save the world. Taking us to a pier, we pick up with Fisk and Mary. The two of them now looking like they're about to retire, hopping onto a sailboat and heading off into the sunset. No longer having a desire for war, for fighting, for any of it. He is ready to settle down and live his life with Mary, believing that this is the only thing he has ever needed, and it has taken him this long to realize it. He's ready to go find his happiness. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I had read the solicitations for this, and it really made it seem like this was going to change the entire Marvel landscape forever. It was going to make it seem like there was going to be actual individuals to die, some real repercussions, and that just didn't happen. Yeah, we lost Mike Murdock, but that's really about it. A bunch of people went to jail. Wilson Fisk yet again is able to escape. Not only that, he is getting to live his happily ever after. More than likely, this is just an opportunity to take Wilson Fisk, set him to the side for quite some time, and really drive with something new, bring him back in a couple years, whatever, for other stories, so on and so forth. I think what I like most about this story is it's finally getting this Daredevil and Wilson Fisk fiasco that has been going on for so many years. It's finally separating that, and is giving Daredevil some kind of new direction, a new goal, and that is to save the world. That is to reform the Fist and finally take down the Hand, which currently the Hand has the Punisher as their head guy, their head enforcer, their head killer. He's just been laying waste, sacrificing people on the daily. So with these two stories currently ongoing, we know that they are about to interconnect. They're about to come together, and we are going to see some awesome Daredevil the Punisher team up. It wasn't quite the ending I hoped. I was really hoping that some more individuals lost their lives in this. I was really hoping that it had some real dramatic and huge consequences. But like most comic stories, they wind it up with really just losing some side characters. The artwork has been absolutely phenomenal. And with all of the spin-offs, there's huge potential for us to get more, like the Superior 4. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to donate to the channel, you can always do so by hitting the super thanks button. That'll help support the channel. Every little bit helps. If you can't do that, do me a favor, hit that sub button, like this video, hit that notification bell, and until the next breakdown.